Welcome to Saratoga Live on Travers Weekend. And it is New York Showcase Day. We have 4 stakes races ahead. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. All this stakes action we have for you coming up exclusively for horses bred in the Empire State on a very special Friday afternoon ahead of Travers Day. Greg Wolf alongside one of the top trainers in the country, and Tom Amos. And our feature race coming up in the West Point, we have a horse who was 3rd in this race 2 years ago, 2nd in this race last year. Can Offering Plan for Chad Brown break through today?
So Offering Plan, maybe one of the favorites in this race the past years. Be the favorite today. He's got a style that comes from well off the pace, but it suits him well in today's edition of the race because of a couple of things. Number one, there's a lot of speed in the race, and his 2 biggest challengers, they have the same style he has. Well, he beat them 2 back in the Kingston, and that's the 10 Carafa and Rap, the 11. So why not? I like him a lot, and maybe a single.
A lot of familiar faces in this race. King Creasa, he's won it twice before. He's back for more as a 9-year-old. Carafa, as you mentioned, will be the 4th time he has competed in the West Point. Get signed up and started and play along. Bet all the races we show you all summer long here on Saratoga Live. $200 new member bonus. Use that promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Weather and track conditions are brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track, fast turf course is firm on this gorgeous Friday afternoon. Joining us just in time for the start of race 6. Coming up here, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. New York breds, an allowance optional claiming field, and Frisky Magician right now. Jorge Abreu favored at 2-1, Tom.
Hey, look, this race, an edition of this race from a few weeks ago, a lot of the same participants. That race had a lot of speed in it. The ones that closed late, like Frisky Magician, the 6-horse, or Banana Thief, the 9-horse, they benefited from that fast pace. Don't look for it to be so fast today, Greg. I think those horses are at a disadvantage.
Pick 6 begins here, close to $120,000 in the pool. Let's check in with the rest of our crew now. Send it downstairs to the paddock area. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and former New York Met and LA Dodger Paul Lo Duca.
Thanks so much, Greg. It is a beautiful day here. It's nice to be here with you, Paul. And
thank you.
It's a good race. Nice to have 5 races today, actually. Yeah. We got one kicking off right now. And I think that the 2 Polar Axis has a chance to wire the field. But let's be honest, the horses to beat are Frisky Magician and Banana Thief.
Yeah, they are, because Frisky Magician just has a lot of class on this field. And maybe she can sit the trip in here. When you look on paper, like Tom says, there does look like there is speed on paper. But you could take the view that you're taking, that Polar Axis could get to the front of these and never stop.
Yeah, I like the idea of being on the fresh ground, the inside. We took the rails down a couple days ago, so we're running on a part of the course that basically hasn't been used the whole meet, so it's not chewed up, so being on the inside could be an advantage. And while the 4 Spiteful Kitten could be speed with Polar Axis, I'm going to try to actually get the Polar Axis to wire the field and maybe get away from that one. But Banana Thief and Frisky Magician ran very well last time, and they just might be the best horses.
No, they did. If you buy into that last race, they both came from way out of it, and they both really did run on well. Now, the discretionary mark would be my choice to 7, because I think he's the middle horse that might sit that trip.
Well, we'll see how things work out. We've got more members of the team. Maggie Wolfendale and Gabby Godet are standing by.
Thanks, Andy, and we'll talk about a few horses out here. We want to touch on the one that you like in Polar Axis. Gabby, he's 2nd off of a layoff. Last time, he had the appearance of a horse that needed a start, but what about his speed here?
Well, he could be the fastest early. The only other horse that I would maybe see pressuring him on the front end could be the 4 Spiteful Kitten, who didn't get off to the best break last time out. So maybe with a quicker beginning, he could pressure the pace of Polar Axis. But the thing that I like about Polar Axis is he's been going against open allowance company, and he's coming back to the New York breds today.
Yeah, exactly. And we see Spiteful Kitten out there. Wow, he's gotten washed out on the track. But number 7, Discretionary Mark, he put it all together last time, Gabby. I talked to his trainer, Christophe Clement. It's just something small, but cutting in the ears for the 2nd time off the back of that win. Seemed to chill this horse out a little bit. Got a little nervous. Christophe says overall he's been a disappointment because he trained so well in the morning.
Sometimes that can make a huge difference, especially at a venue like Saratoga where there's so many people, there's a lot going on, just to get that calmness into a horse. But Discretionary Mark, he really does have to improve. One of my concerns is that most of his wins have come when he's on the lead. I don't think he'll be in that position, but he looked great in the post parade.
He really did, and in the paddock as well. So a horse that certainly caught our eye down here, Greg.
Thanks, both of you. Favorite has just stepped in. That is Frisky Magician. Would love to see a hot pace up front. The 6-horse in here, 2-1 on the board. This race kicks off our pick 6. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Ready for a start. They're off. Polar Axis came out sharply. So too Spiteful Kitten on the outside, and sent along is Colonel Tom from the inside of them to grab the lead up the backstretch, then Discretionary Mark and Ethan Hunt. They're followed by Banana Thief on the outside of the Crocheron Kid. Frisky Magician taken to the rear of the field, and now races 10 lengths off the lead as they race for the far turn. Colonel Tom and Dylan Davis make the pace here, 21.32 the opening quarter mile. Flying along is Colonel Tom. Polar Axis 2 lengths behind, running in second. Spiteful Kitten third. Discretionary Mark is fourth, and Ethan Hunt, Banana Thief on the outside. The Crocheron Kid held up behind them, and Frisky Magician's going to circle up as Colonel Tom turns for home with a 4-length lead. Polar Axis is second. Discretionary Mark trying to close in from the outside. Colonel Tom still there after a 43.96 half mile, opening up 5. Discretionary Mark is second behind a powerful performance here by Colonel Tom. Discretionary Mark was second best under the wire, then the Crocheron Kid and Spiteful Kitten.
Colonel Tom shot to the front, and boy, did he go quick early on. He never looked back.
Never look back. You set fractions like that, and you basically are taking a group out of their game, trying to keep up with you to put themselves in position. But no one is in position turning for home but our leader, Colonel Tom. He's got plenty left. Those fractions, as quick as they were, can he be that fast out there? It looks like you're giving some give in the ground when he's going through the turf right there. What an impressive performance.
I'll tell you, we saw a fast race in the last race yesterday, so I'm not surprised. And the horse won by so much that I'm not surprised he ran that fast. I got to tip my hat to the public here. How is this horse the second choice? They knew.
I'm sort of proud that my pick finished second to this horse. Because I was chasing, going, I'm too close up. All the horses in the back are going to start rolling. Just never happened. Listen, Colonel Tom ran them off their feet in 101 and change.
I'm proud that my 4th choice finished 3rd here at 30-1. That's all I got.
Well, this horse fired at very first asking for trainer George Weaver. Came back as a 3-year-old in his debut. He struggled. George Weaver put blinkers on him, got him back in the winner's circle, and those blinkers seem to have helped now.
You're hitting it right on the head. I think the blinkers made a big difference in these last 2 starts.
3 wins now from 4 career starts for Colonel Tom. Let's send it downstairs to Gabby Gaudet.
There someday.
And here with winning trainer George Weaver. Wow, Colonel Tom, super impressive today. George, this is a horse who showed a lot of talent dating back to his debut, but were you expecting a performance like this today?
No, not really. I didn't like the, down at Belmont you can go 6 or 7. I didn't think he really had the early speed to go 5.5. And he doesn't leave the gate very well, and Dylan had to hustle him. But, man, once he got him in gear, he had a lot more speed than I thought he had. And but that's the way he wants to run. I told Dylan, I said, I'd like for you to get the lead if you can. And I didn't think we could, but he got it, and he kept going.
I mean, talk about that, though. Not only did he get to the lead, but he went pretty quickly up there, too.
Yeah, that was one of the more impressive 5.5 races on the grass up here. He was getting a little late there at the end, but I'm glad to see he's got that much speed. It opens up a little more windows for us.
Absolutely. Congrats here.
Thank you, Gabby.
Greg?
George Weaver's done a tremendous job with this very still lightly raced son of Colonel John. 3 wins from 4 career starts. Now 2 for 3 in 2018.
He really looks super doing it, Greg. I mean, it just was like everybody was in his wake. When you see everybody hustling just to keep up early in the race, to keep themselves in position like that, you know that that the lead horse is taking advantage of just running them off their feet. Very, very impressive. I think this horse has a big future.
Let's go back to the start and look at the beginning from post 1. Colonel Tom didn't actually break all that sharp, but then asked for more immediately from Dylan Davis, and he got it.
Yeah, he did get it indeed. And, the 1 hole for a horse that doesn't break well is even worse than any other post, because horses tend to come over once they make the lead against you and give you nowhere to go. But he got that spot, stayed open there, got him up at the first 8. Look, Dylan's riding away from there. Look at him strap his horse to get him to tell him, we're going to go, man. So that plan that they had was obviously constructed in the paddock. We're going to the lead.
And they did go, 21-1, 43-4 if we're to believe those fractions. I mean, that is zipping along in a 5.5 furlong turf sprint that had plenty of other speed in it. I mean, this horse was well clear early on.
That's what makes you a believer in this horse for the future, Greg. There was other speed in this race, but you'd never know it by watching that race, that they even existed. This horse dominates today.
Dylan Davis, George Weaver, owned by Tom Broccoli, your winning connections here to kick off this pick 6 sequence, and goes off at 4-1. Second choice here on the board to start off this pick 6. But yeah, this horse has certainly come back as a 3-year-old, exceptionally strong. And again, he touted himself back in his debut as a 2-year-old. His only start, 2-year-old campaign, it came at Aqueduct, and he won that race convincingly by more than 3 lengths in a 6-furlong turf sprint. And it looks like he's just getting better and better. $10.80 for the win on Colonel Tom. Discretionary mark, the Crocheron Kid. Round out your trifecta here. But there's a look at your winner. And I don't think we're ever going to see this horse taken back anymore.
No, I don't. I mean, this was definitely down the stretch. It was ground control to Colonel Tom because he took off like a rocket. I mean, he ran really, really good.
Young Dylan Davis gets the victory. So our pick 6 underway, and we get to get everyone started. Not often we do, but today in the Naira Bets late pick 5 as well, that we'll start off with the Seeking the Ante. We talked about the West Point a little bit later on. Chad Brown, the meet's leading trainer, he has favorites in both the Yaddo and the West Point, and 55 offering plan both look like they're going to be very tough.
Yeah, they're possible singles if you're going to play a ticket today, which we'll look at a little bit later. But in this specific race, the 2-year-old fillies, a lot of horses that don't have much experience, and so a lot of improvement to be had with a number of these horses.
All right, let's get back to the race we just showed you. Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Colonel Tom, aggressively handled by this guy right here, and Dylan Davis. Dylan, did you and George talk about getting to the lead? There was so much more speed in this race than it looked to be out there.
Yes, of course. That was our plan A, and just take away from the pony, warm up aggressive. He did come out a little bit slower than I thought he was, but once he got into gear, he was all business there.
And he seems like a horse that he only really loves to be out in the front end. That's where he does his best running.
Of course. I mean, that's the only 2 times I've ridden him was on the lead, and I saw one previous race that he'd come off of it, and he didn't really look like he was into it that well. So, I mean, coming out, I think he could come off a stalking trip, but still his best A game is on the top.
Dylan, you'll be aboard the veteran Carafa a little bit later. Are you excited about riding him in the West Point?
Always, always. He's a great horse, and he always puts out his A game, and just excited for all racing today.
Oh, Dylan, boy, you're starting off on a good foot here with Colonel Tom. Best of luck and congrats here.
Thank you. Thanks, Meg.
All right, guys, Dylan, looking to get things rolling here on the latter half of this New York Showcase card.
Well, that's a nice way to start it off. And Maggie brought up Carafa, who Dylan will ride in that West Point. That's the horse who's going to be competing in that race as a 9-year-old for the 4th time in his career. He actually broke his maiden back in 2011.
You know, the grass tends to make these horses' careers last a lot longer, as it is the case with Carafa. But another one whose style is from well off the pace, wants to make that closing run. So a polar opposite of the horse Dylan just rode.
Here's the races we still have to come. The Naira Bets late pick 5. If you're only winning ticket today, $150,000 minimum single ticket payout. It begins in the 7th with this Seeking the Ante for 2-year-old fillies. The 8th race, the Yaddo, mile and 16th inner turf, where Chad Brown sends out 55. The Fleet Indian will be 3-year-old fillies going a mile and an 1/8 on the main track. And the West Point, that will be offering plan, trying to break through in that race for Chad Brown in his 3rd try after narrow defeats each of the last 2 years. Race 7, though, kicks off our Naira Bets late pick 5 sequence as we look at the field going 6.5 furlongs, and we don't know who could step up, who could improve. All these young horses lightly race. Right now, though, Tom, it's Maiden Beauty, Gary Contessa, who won the Lynbrook, who's favored.
Yeah, and that's a horse that ran an uneducated race the first time she ran. Really broke, didn't know where she was in the race. It was a sloppy track that day. It's a lot to throw to first-time starter. But when she found her footing, she took off, beat a stakes field in her debut, and did it easily.
There's Dylan Davis, headed back to the jocks room. We'll be changing silks, and again, we're going to see him later on in our feature race, when he'll be aboard Carafa, smiling with the victory. Here's Tom's Naira Bets late pick 5 ticket.
So spread out here in this 7th race, just too many question marks on these young horses and who might step up after just very little experience. But I'm going to go down as one that's going to single 55 in our 8th race. To me, that is the single of the day. I can't drive 55, but I can sure play 55.
Sammy
And
Hagar, I like
I'll
it.
spread it out at the end of this Pick 5 sequence, and the last race I think is wide open.
And you like Dylan Davis a bit in our feature.
Hey, I'll give Dylan Davis a heck of a shot. This is, by the way, it gives me an opportunity to say this. Dylan Davis, like so many riders up here, doesn't get as many opportunities as, say, the Ortiz brothers. He is a very good rider. This is the greatest colony I've seen in North America this year.
Pick 5 ticket from Tom Amos. Paula Duca put together a Naira Bets late Pick 5 as well. Let's take a look. $60.
Well, you know, we were talking about, or Tom was talking about 55 or offering plan were your two choices. So we have similar tickets. I just chose offering plan instead. So in race number 9, I thought about split it. Linda Rice was getting her shoes shined, and I said, I hope your horse wins today, split it. And she said, you got the right horse. So hopefully she's giving me the right information. I'm also going to use the 9 in there. Indy's Lady, I think, had a horrendous trip. Race number 11, the 14 does draw in. As you can see, guys, do a single offering plan. I do think that horse got a big shot in the last.
Yeah, I'm glad to see, Paul, that you noticed the 14 got in. Tom noticed the 14 got in this race? In that race?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Come on, man. You know that I'm downstairs working 3 hours before first post.
Get
with the game,
Andy's favorite post in a 5.5 furlong turf sprint, post 14.
It's not post 14. There are scratches, guys.
$120,000 Naira Bets late Pick 5 pool. It is growing still. Get involved. And again, if you're the only winning ticket, minimum payout, $150,000 going into your account. Good luck, everyone. Get involved. It's coming up next. We'll talk more about the opening leg of the sequence. 55 could be a single for some in the sequence. To see her coming up in the Yaddo. Stay tuned.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including stakes winners Autumn Warrior and Orvolution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TDN rising star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga, classic winner, classic pedigree, or standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Nyquist switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. Nice has won the Travers over American Flag. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice Ellis. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Back on Saratoga Live, this is something that Saratoga does that puts a little extra pressure on this top jockey colony in the country. They post pictures and where everyone stands in the jockey standings. And right now it is Irad Ortiz Jr. who is leading everybody.
Yeah, it is indeed. And look, the first half of that jockey colony are all names you know well. The Ortiz brothers, Castellano, Johnny Velasquez. It's the second half of this group, starting with, say, the Ricardo Santana on down. Those guys, they could go anywhere in the country and they would be the leading riders where they were. But they compete the best with the best. If they're on the right horse, they're going to win for you.
Jose Ortiz, he's won it 2 times in a row. He's got a little bit of work to do to catch his older brother. As for the trainer standings, Chad Brown has been absolutely dominant, and he is closing in on making history at this historic meet. 40 is the record, equaled last year by Todd Pletcher, who equaled the record that Chad Brown set the year before. So 41, very attainable for him at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he has the opportunity to have a very big day today. You probably say it every day we come to the race with Chad Brown, but he really does have some great chances today. And with the weather looking good, it looks like it'll be turf all weekend long for him. That's a plus for his barn.
Well, we said we're bringing you 4 stakes races on our program today. There are actually 6 total on this New York Bred Showcase Day. 2 of them happened earlier on in the card, starting off with the Albany in race 3. Albany, about a half-hour drive away. It's where you fly into the airport here to come to Saratoga. Mile and an eighth for 3-year-olds, purse at $250,000 in this race. And it was Seafoam for Christophe Clement, back-to-back wins now.
Yeah, take a look at Seafoam's face as well as the jockey silks, and you know it was a race where Seafoam broke from that outside position, went straight to the front, and never looked back.
No dirt on that face whatsoever, and that's
hard ridden from the start on that outside post to make the lead.
Seafoam getting it done. Back-to-back races now. Won at Finger Lakes, that New York Derby last time out. Beat a couple of the familiar faces he faced in this race again today. So he is in sharp form for Waterville Lake Stable. And Christophe Clement, the son of Medaglia d'Oro, returned $5.60. The 5th race on the card, that was a funny side. 2-year-olds sprinting 6.5 furlongs. And this is a look at what Funny Side, the great New York bred, accomplished in the 2nd leg of the Triple Crown. Of course, won the Derby. Became the first New York bred of all time to do so. Followed up with a win in the Preakness. The race named in his honor. And Dugout for Larry Ravelli getting it done.
That's Dugout on the outside. On the inside, Bank It with Ricardo Santana. Dugout with Javier Castellano. This was a great duel between 2 riders trying to carry their horses to the finish line.
Javier Castellano on Dugout, the outside runner. Ricardo Santana Jr. inside for Steve Asmussen and Winchell Thoroughbreds, and it just goes to Dugout in a great stretch duel there. Javier Castellano just 8 back of Irad Ortiz Jr., keeping the pressure on here. Dugout went off 3-1 in here. Son of Adios Charlie out of Alida Dustismare, Rooney Doodle. Just the 2nd start of his career and a perfect 2 for 2 now. First time was a lot easier than this on a race that was taken off the turf, but showed he likes to fight as well.
Oh, yeah, look, I love watching 2 riders battle like that. You're seeing total strength in riders, and it just is an example, again, of how good the riders are up here.
Get involved, get started, play along. The Saratoga Showdown online contest goes on each and every day of our show. You're competing for real prizes. Go to NYRA.com/showdown. It's Win, Play, Show contest this afternoon. I entered today, and I'll just go ahead and tell you in race 6, my selection was Colonel Tom.
Very good.
Can I keep
nobody's
it going?
doing better than you.
Can I keep it going?
Stop the race.
Coming up next is Seeking the Ante. There's She's Trouble. It was big-time trouble for the rest of the field for Linda Rice last start. Did she go back-to-back? 2-year-old fillies. It's stakes action next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live on this glorious Friday afternoon. It's all about the New York Breds on this showcase day. And right now we have the 2-year-old New York bred fillies up to bat in the Seeking the Ante. And wow, your current favorite is number 7 in here. She's Trouble. Well, she has been good, though, in her last 2 efforts, at least as far as the paddock is concerned. And she's your favorite. She looks great. But a horse that I'm actually interested in that is coming in by way of Finger Lakes is number 1 in here, Party Like Grandma, for trainer Jeremiah Englehart. Yes, she only faced 4 horses, but she drew away smartly, 11.5 lengths between her and another Jeremiah Englehart runner, and she did it so easily. This filly had her ears pricked and forward pretty much the entire running of that race, and that just speaks to a horse who is doing things effortlessly. And she's big, she's good looking, she's extremely fit here in her second start. Jeremiah does great work with his 2-year-olds as well, so I do like what I'm seeing from Party Like Grandma. Number 4 is Collegeville Girl, 9-1 in her debut and never looked back beneath Kendrick Carmouche, as she was quick out of the gates. And I will say she's a lot more fit here in her second start. It was a little bit naughty to saddle, but once they got it on, she's cool as a cucumber here once again. We'll see what she does if she is the likely speed in here. Unlike the boys' version of this race, she looks as though she might be the lone type of speed runner. Now, number 6 is Time Warp. She was bad last time. She was even worse here today in the paddock. It might just be her, but she's also a young 2-year-old filly who is making her 3rd start of this Saratoga meeting. Is the racing kind of getting the best of her? Now, since they got the saddle on, though, she has chilled out. She's walked over nicely to the walking ring here to about to have her rider up. So this is one, Greg, that I will be keeping my eye out on how she behaves out in the track. If she's being bad or if she has her mind on business.
All right, Maggie, we'll check back with you on that in just a little bit with Time Warp, as you get a look here at Maiden Beauty for trainer Gary Contessa, who's having a nice meet here. And this filly won first time out, sloppy racetrack in a stakes race back at Belmont on July 15th.
She did. She did it against New York Breds, basically an earlier version of what this race is going to be. The interesting thing about her race was that Maiden Beauty debuting that day was a little bit lost out of the gate. Broke. Couldn't find her way very well. It was a sloppy racetrack. A lot of new things to throw at a horse that's debuting. But when she got on track late in the race, she really took off and dominated the field. I think there's a lot of raw talent here, and you should see improvement now that she's had the education of a race.
And we get to see her on a fast track as well, so we don't know what we're going to get this afternoon as we take a look here at the 7, who's the most seasoned of anybody really in this field. This will be start number 4 for the Into Mischief filly for Linda Rice.
And maybe that's a good thing for the 7. She's Trouble. Her first 2 starts, she did not break well from the gate. She got it right in her 3rd start and ran a very, very nice race. The question here is she developed a habit of not necessarily leaving the gate well, or has she learned how to break? Because if she has learned how to break, she's going to be Trouble today. She's Trouble.
Here's a look at her when it came here at Saratoga on a sloppy racetrack on August the 3rd, and she would power home to win by 5 lengths. Again, completely different track than what we're dealing with this afternoon, but at least we know that she's comfortable in the surroundings.
Yeah, but she was put in a completely different position, Greg. Breaking well gave her an advantage in where she was in the race. That late kick that came in was something different than we've seen in any of our other races. If we can continue to get that from her, it's a good thing.
Only time she caught a fast track, just did not get out of the gate at all, but did show some run late. So we'll see how she progresses here coming up. There's a look at Gary Contessa. Decked out, suit and tie. He'll send out Maiden Beauty, the 3 coming up with Joel Rosario. Down to a revolutionary, but 9-5 favorite remains the 7. Right now, we start things off in our post parade with Party Like Grandma. Jeremiah Englehart won by 11.5 lengths in the debut at Finger Lakes.
It was a 4-horse field at Finger Lakes, but she was impressive winning, but the field gets much tougher today.
Icy Lady is the 2 Jose Ortiz rides from Mike Gorham.
Yeah, she actually beat a 4-horse field first time out, and then last time out in the Lynbrook, disappointed.
It was beat by the one we're going to see right now, Maiden Beauty, on that sloppy track in the Lynbrook here for Gary Contessa with Joel Rosario.
Did break her maiden in a stake race, but keep in mind, 3 of the first 4 finishers in that race were maidens.
Collegeville Girl, 5-2 on the board. Daughter of Central Banker, the 4. She went gate to wire right here at Saratoga. First time out for Richard Vega.
Yeah, and Richard already won a race on this card in race number 2 with a horse called Bluegrass Express. So looking for a double on the card.
6 horses time warp for Kenny McPeak. Second time out, won on a race taken off the turf at 7/8 here at Saratoga. Javier Castellano aboard.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice race, but it was an off-the-turf event, and don't love the comments from Maggie in the paddock.
She's Trouble. Here's our favorite, the Silks of Lady Sheila's stable, and Linda Rice, Irad Ortiz Jr.
Gets on a fast track for the first time since her debut, has improved with every start, another step forward, and she is the main danger to the horse who will ultimately be favored, Collegeville Girl.
And Harley Q here, Uriah St. Louis owns and trains. He has Manny Franco aboard.
You know, interesting horse, at least for a long shot. I don't know if this filly by Mucho Macho Man can win this race, but, you know, behind a nice filly in Jaywalk, and was 5 clear of your third place finisher, and you're getting over 20 to 1.
All right, so that's your field. Coming up here for the Seeking the Ante, $195,000 in this Naira Bets late pick 5 pool right there. A look at She's Trouble, trained by Linda Rice. Let's go to Gabby Gaudette for more.
Thank you, Greg. And here with Linda Rice in the paddock, and She's Trouble. Well, she just looked classy and elegant as ever here in the paddock, but she did have trouble in her first 2 starts getting out of the gate. Do you think that that was just circumstance, Linda?
You know, the filly, she was a little green, and she resented having a man in the gates with her, and she shied away from the headman first time out. So she's now running without a headman in the gates, and we found that that works much better for her.
Yeah, an impressive victory last time out, that's for sure. Do you see her as one that's going to build off of that last performance?
We would really like to think that she's really going to move forward. Her first 2 races, she was very green. Her maiden win here, she was very professional. So, of course, we're very excited about, going forward with her. Let's hope that takes place today.
Later on today, split time, 5 for 6 this year. Talk a little bit about the New York bred program and just how you can really build confidence into a horse like that.
You know, that's the nice thing about buying New York breds, which I've been doing for quite some time with La Verdad, with Holiday Disguise, Split Time, She's Trouble. You know, you can race in New York year-round. There's stakes available to them, good purses on a daily basis. You can use some New York bred races to build up their confidence, and then Split Time won in Open Company in Laurel. We've been fortunate enough to get around 2 turns in a New York bred race at Finger Lakes, and I think the confidence builders are great for these horses, these young horses in particular.
All right, well, I'll catch up with you off air because we got to get back to the boys here. But Voodoo Song with an impressive workout. Looking forward to seeing him later on this meet. But best of luck here, Linda.
Thank you.
All right, over to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Gabby. Talking about Linda's horse, She's Trouble, it's interesting. First time out, she just got left a pole and ran fine, but it was a very slow race, Paul. Next time out, sloppy track. She got in trouble at the start. Not really her fault in that race. Last time out, things worked out, and she gets back to a fast track. Linda Rice is terrific with horses off wins, off maiden wins, and I happen to think this is a horse that could take another step forward. But she's going to need to beat Collegeville Girl, or hope that one doesn't run her last race.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the 4 did run, and so did the 1, Party Like Grandma. She ran good. You just don't know the competition that she's faced. But the gray, She's Trouble, you make a good point. She broke so sharply last time, and she was able to rate and power away pretty easily. 5 lengths winner. And I would think she's the one that comes from a little bit off the pace. But then you got a lot of other 2-year-olds. You don't really know where they're going. Are they going to get any better? And when you look at the 4, like you said, we already saw Richard Vega win a race. This horse is coming in from Parks. The Parks horses weren't running earlier in the meet, but somehow they've been running late.
And
of late.
The last one with Kendrick Carmouche wired the field in a fast pace and had never shown speed before in his life. This one actually is the speed of the speed. Yeah. So she could be in front by 50 lengths in this race based on the other one. I'm sort of kidding, but she is going to have the tactical advantage. The question with her is she won her debut at 9 to 1. Now you're going to be taking about 7 to 5 by post time. Do you want to take a short price after missing the boat at 9 to 1? I don't, but that doesn't mean she's not the horse to beat.
Yeah, it's almost like the 3 in here. Like the 3 Maiden Beauty, she was dominant in her first start. And then 22 to 1. Do you want that? Now the 1, Party Like Grandma, completely vice versa the last 2 we just talked about. 4-horse field, 55 cents on the dollar, but that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to win by that many lengths, but she did look good doing it.
She did, but she was at Finger Lakes, and while she got a good figure, and I'm not trying to knock her, her rider Andre Warrior is not the kind of rider. He's not a top class rider like the guys. And you've got Kendrick Carmouche and Collegeville Girl, and you know he's going to be doing everything to intimidate him here by moving outside of him. So this horse is in for a much different trip than the first time. Doesn't mean she can't run.
No.
She's got a good trainer in her corner too.
No, you're right. And does that benefit the 3 Maiden Beauty, who was good first time out, didn't get a great buyer, but dropped into a $100,000 stakes race and circled the field and might get that chance again today.
Yeah. We'll see what happens here. A quick look at the 3 Maiden Beauty who won that race in the stake race first time. She got a very good ride that day.
Did.
And who knows? I mean, sloppy track. Maybe she'll improve on a dry track. You have to hope that because she has to improve.
Yeah, she does. She has to improve, and she has to get the speed up front again for her to make that closing move. But you're getting the price 5-1.
Well, the jockeys aren't the only ones on horseback out there. Maggie Wolfendale's on horseback as well.
And I'm probably more nervous than the jockeys out here. Never know what's quite going on in Jaeger's brain here, but we'll check in with some of the horses that I talked about in the paddock. And number 4, Collegeville Girl, she got a tremendous warm-up out here, guys. Under Kendrick Carmouche, she just looked fantastic. Warmed up alone, very professional out here, moving and floating over this surface quite nicely. She's a deserved favorite, at least in my book. Now, Time Warp was one that I was a little bit concerned about, but here with Javier Castellano, she's chilled out. She's got her mind back on business. That's always a good sign. So we'll see how she does, making her 3rd start of this Saratoga meeting. And then finally, one that I wasn't thrilled about is number 2, Icy Lady. She's going to be a price in here, but she's gotten so nervous out here, guys. Jose basically galloped with his feet out of the irons all the way from, when they turned around at the wire to the backside here, and she's still getting pretty revved up. So not something I necessarily love to see. But as I throw it back to you guys, watching the races here today, and I'm no expert on this, it does feel as though having some early speed is an advantage, especially on this main track. Am I right?
What do you think, Tom?
I totally agree with that. I think speed has been very good. Kendrick Carmouche won a race on the dirt and the grass. The first 2 races today, won the double. He did it by sending from the gate. He's going to do that on Collegeville Girl here, the 4-horse. Kendrick's going. As we're looking at the 2 right now, Greg, I have to say, from a trainer's perspective, when a horse is that hot and sweaty out there and none of the others are, that is worrisome. To me, that's a horse that's fretting about running, nervous about running. Don't look for her to have her best day today.
That is the most lather buildup I've seen around the neck region on a horse in a long time. Not a great sign. So 1901, we'll see if she can get calmed down here a little bit.
I think it's too late for that. I mean, look, they take it from the paddock with them and carry it to the gate, and bad things usually happen and they don't run well.
Meanwhile, Maggie also, she had talked about the 6 Time Warp who could be a bad actor. Apparently that one seems to be doing okay, a little bit better behavior this afternoon, making her 3rd career start with Javier Castellano.
She's another one that hasn't left the gate well in her 2 initial starts and, could likely improve if she gets a better break. These horses, the race is a minute and, say, 10 seconds long or thereabouts. In this case, a minute and 17 seconds because we're going extra half a furlong, 6.5 furlongs. It is so quick. If that horse's mindset is wrong leaving the gate, then you're out of luck. You just can save it for another day because the horse has to be right, not only physically as a trainer when you get him ready to run a race, but they have to be right mentally in the gate. And that's going to be a problem for the 2 horse. We look at the 6 right there. Another one horse that's pretty hot today on a day where we really don't have a lot of humidity, and it's pretty cool.
And Naira starting gate crew patiently waiting for the competitors to make their way to load them up. They are absolutely one of the best in the business in this game of horse racing, and they're going to have a busy couple of days here as we get set for our premier day of the meet coming up on Travers Day on Saturday. Expecting a sold-out house, and when you have a big crowd like that, and we have a pretty good crowd on hand here today too. You're no telling what that kind of atmosphere, noise, and just amped up kind of energy can do to horses as well.
Yeah, you start thinking about Mendelssohn and the Travers. I mean, he totally fell apart in the Kentucky Derby. I was in the paddock with him with Lone Sailor. This is a horse that was hollering for his mom and looking to, just get the heck out of there. He had no chance that day based on his temperament. I don't know how much work they've done within the paddock here this week, but certainly the connections, who are some of the best in the world, know that they have to practice with this horse in the paddock. They can't expect to lead him over there tomorrow. Are they going to get the same thing?
Aidan O'Brien, trainer of Mendelssohn, talked about the learning experience that he really got from this past year's Kentucky Derby and what he's going to take with that going forward. But certainly that was one of the big things, getting a horse accustomed to the commotion and just craziness of a Kentucky Derby.
And you'll have that tomorrow for the Travers. Look, the picnic tables are all around the paddock. The crowd wants to see all these great 3-year-olds. They're going to be on top of them.
Right now, it is 2-year-old fillies sprinting 6.5 furlongs in the Seeking the Ante. Coming up here, our first of 4 stakes races on our show here this afternoon. Our favorite, now 6-5, Collegeville Girl. There she is, stepping in line for Richard Vega. Debuted in 1 here at Saratoga back on July the 25th. Can she go back to back? Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Larry Colmus.
She's Trouble moving into the starting gate. Will be followed by Harley Q, who's going to take the outside stall and complete the line here. Goes in. They're all in line. Acting up there is Collegeville Girl. She's really acting up here in the starting gate. We're going to have a delay here as Collegeville Girl is extremely restless in the gate.
There's a look at Kendrick Carmouche off his mount there, the favorite Collegeville Girl. She was rearing up in the gate, and we have a roar from the crowd now. It looks like there'd be another one.
Yeah, these horses are going to get backed out of the gate, all of them. We're going to have a delay here. Just from the annex that Collegeville Girl had in the gate. There's our 6-horse Time Warp. Another horse that did not break well in her first 2 starts.
Great job by
the
the outrider.
She really didn't do much leaving the gate. Now, whether they put her back in the gate after that or not, a lot depends on the jurisdictions. Andy would be much more knowledgeable about what New York typically does. But a horse that breaks out of the front of the gate, gets caught by the outrider and brought back. Again, we want to talk about mindset here. And the mindset is completely wrong for a horse like this to be running in a race. So I don't know how they do it up here, but back in, say, Kentucky, where I race quite a bit, this would be a scratch.
Well, certainly going to get looked over by a track veterinarian. I guess the only positive news here is she didn't get into a full gallop and get too far away. So the outrider did a nice job, kind of cut up to her. She's just in an easy little kind of canter. But we will see if she will still be allowed to go here this afternoon after she gets a look over. But everybody being backed out. And we will have a delay here for the Seeking the Ante. 4-horse already a scratch. So Collegeville Girl, our favorite, is out. Let's go down to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Yeah, guys, she went up and she struck out with her front legs. And I mean, she wrapped her legs on the front of the gate. She is definitely late scratch here, obviously. Oh, and she is cut up on the front of her legs here. We might get a ride back from the ambulance. Guys, we're gonna have a long delay. As far as number 6 here, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. Dr. Jen was up at the front of the gate here. It looks as though she might stay in as of now, but guys, I think we're gonna have the horse ambulance out here to give Collegeville Girl a ride back to the barn.
All right, thank you for that, Maggie. And there is Collegeville Girl, saddlecloth taken off. Kendrick Carmouche with saddle in hand. And we're still waiting to see what is going to happen with this runner here, Time Warp. And this is the one who broke through the gate and got away before the outrider was able to catch up with her.
Yeah, I think with the 6-horse Time Warp, Greg, you said it, she didn't do a lot out of the gate. So certainly from a physical standpoint and energy, they wouldn't scratch her for that, but maybe mindset.
All right, slight delay here in the Seeking the Ante. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
An undefeated graded stakes winner on the track, Algorithms was the nation's #1 sire of 2-year-olds in 2017 by percentage of winners. His top runners include multiple graded stakes performer Rich Mommy, winner of the Grade 3 Sugar Swirl, multiple stakes winner and graded stakes performer Recruiting Ready, and stakes winners Taylor Spirit, He Hate Me, and Sunset Ridge. In the ring, his yearlings have brought prices up to $220,000. Algorithms, standing at Clayton Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, and jockeys getting a leg back up here on their horses. We had a slight delay. We had a late scratch of Collegeville Girl, the 4, who got cut up a little bit in the gate. This is the horse, Time Warp the filly, broke through the gate, didn't get all that far away. Outrider was tremendous, catching up to her early. She's going to stay in the race.
Yeah, I think there's every chance that Kenny McPeak weighed in on this, her trainer, and said, look, you know, she didn't do a lot. Let's let her run. I think she's okay to run because there's plenty of time to do that. Greg, we're loading right now, and I think the most important thing to notice is that with Collegeville Girl being out, the pace scenario of this race changes completely. The 1 all the way to the inside, Party Like Grandma, and Harley Q, our 8-horse, our ship-in for Parks, I think they become the speed now.
There's the 6, Time Warp, the bad actor that Maggie was keeping her eyes on. Continued to be a bad actor in the gate. She steps back in. Our favorite at 9-5 now, the Gray. Daughter into Mischief, just stepping in for Linda Rice. She is troubled, 9-5 on the board. Send it back upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Harley Q's coming back to the starting gate now and goes in. They're all in line. They're off in the Seeking the Ante. And it is Party Like Grandma, sharp from the inside, stall out to the early lead and opening up to lead by 2 lengths. Maiden Beauty came out running in second. Time Warp is third. And then it's Harley Q, 4th early on, backing off 4 lengths from the pace. On her inside, it's She's Trouble. Icy Lady is the trailer, and she's a good 8 lengths behind front-running Party Like Grandma. And Andre Worry, who make the pace through a 21.78 opening quarter mile. They lead it by a length over Maiden Beauty with a half mile to run. Time Warp is third on the outside. She's Trouble tracks the leaders 4th. It rides the rail around the far turn. Harley Q is next by another 4. Icy Lady at the back of the pack around the far turn. Party Like Grandma. On the outside, Maiden Beauty. Time Warp is 3 wide. Behind them comes She's Trouble. They went 44.73 for a half. And then it's Harley Q. Icy Lady trails at the top of the stretch. Party Like Grandma turning for home in front. Trying to hold off this competition. Maiden Beauty is second with a furlong to run. She's Trouble is trying to bear down on them. Still Party Like Grandma holding on to this lead at the 16th pole. Maiden Beauty second, and then comes She's Trouble on the outside, and they're coming down to the wire, and Party Like Grandma and Andre Worry do it. They won it by a length in the Seeking the Ante. Maiden Beauty was second, and then She's Trouble and Harley Q.
Andre Worry getting plenty out of Party Like Grandma. Jeremiah Engelhardt, his great Saratoga meeting continues.
It does indeed. And Party Like Grandma took advantage of the scratch, the late scratch of Collegeville Girl, was able to make the lead in this race and fend off any challengers down the lane.
You know, Tom, you said it before the race. The race complexion completely changed with the scratch of the 4, Collegeville Girl, and it allowed this horse to be the controlling speed. She was the best horse in the race, but she certainly got an advantage because of the scratch.
Yeah, and if you had her at 6-1, before the scratch, she went down to 5-2, but she's going to play bigger than that because she ends up being your 3rd choice, and with the late scratch, everybody went to the 7, but Andre Worry gives you a little Derek Jeter here at the end, getting this win here at Saratoga.
1-3-7-8. Jeremiah Engelhardt, your winning trainer. He also won the Adirondack with Sue's Fortune earlier in the meet. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, here with Andre Worry. Party Like Grandma. She's a little party animal, that's for sure. Andre, obviously an unfortunate event at the starting gates with Collegeville Girl, but you had to think that you had an advantage then, being the inside speed.
Absolutely. I mean, once that horse scratched, I mean, it feel bad for the horse, but that's the speed, and if he scratches, I'm the other speed. So I had to go. And she's such a class filly. She brought me all the way.
I was going to say, in her debut, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a 2-year-old filly win with their ears pricked like she did. It was so easy for her.
Oh, yeah, she just down the backside. She was as relaxed as can be. And when I asked her to run, she just kept going.
Andre, this is a pretty big win for you coming in from Finger Lakes. How much does it mean, and the fact that Jeremiah kept you on this filly?
Oh, man, I'm so grateful to him, his family, my agent, everybody. And my daughter's here to take a picture with me in Saratoga.
Well, Andre, I'm sure she's so happy to see Daddy in the winner's circle. Job well done by you. Congrats here in the Seeking the Ante.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, Party Like Grandma. She took advantage of that late scratch. His speed continues to be pretty good here.
Yeah, I believe that's a 3rd speedster on the main track here winning this afternoon. Andre Worry got his first win ever. just 5 years ago, now winning on the big stage here on a stakes race at Saratoga.
Yeah, made the lead here. Look, the 3-horse Maiden Beauty, the horse that broke her maiden in a stake last time, has every opportunity to go by Party Like Grandma, but it just doesn't happen as Party Like Grandma digs in, has her head down, fights to the wire.
Back-to-back victories. Debuted at Finger Lakes, compact field, but she was so far in front of them, doesn't matter how many were in that field, she was impressive, and now shows she can get it done here at Saratoga as well against stiffer competition. Jeremiah Engelhardt been sending out some nice 2-year-old fillies in particular at this meet.
He did indeed. He did with one here. You know, we talked a little bit about how the track is playing. I'm going to do my best impression of Andy Serling and say that the track is definitely showing a speed favoring bias today, and it could lead into tomorrow. A lot of tracks like to speed up their track on their big days. I think you not only pay attention to it today, but if you catch on to it early tomorrow, take advantage of it.
All right, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Certainly, we're going to be back on the main track, going 1 1/8 in the Fleet Indian for 3-year-old fillies. Other than that, we are on the turf the rest of the way this afternoon. Party Like Grandma. Never hurts to get a little lucky and have another speed of the race scratch out. Jeremiah Engelhardt, Flower City Racing, they'll take it. Daughter of Desert Party with the win here. And starts off her career, perfect 2 for 2. And into the winner's circle. There's young Andre Worry. Big moment for him there with a nice victory. $7.90 for the win. Bringing this filly by Desert Party out of a Salt Lake mare, Grandma Lou. Maiden Beauty winding up second. She's Trouble, favored for Linda Rice. Winds up third, who wasn't all that close early. She was very far back, started to make a big move early on in the race, but then just not enough punch late.
No, and they were looking at Party Like Grandma. Now 2 for 2 lifetime, undefeated in 2 starts.
A lot of money in this NYRA Bets late pick 5 pool. $271,000 in our sequence this afternoon, so the minimum payout does not come into effect. Start off with Co's second choice on the board. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday in the NYRA Bets late pick 5. $7,281 for the 50-cent payout there. Fixed point, of course, the biggest price at the end. Late pick 4, $856.
Can you say value?
It's huge. Send it back downstairs to Gabby Gaudette.
Here with winning trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt, and wow, this filly was impressive today. But Jeremiah, talk a little bit about obviously the delay, the reload, and what was going through your mind during that situation.
Well, first thing, I hope the Collegeville girl's okay. I talked to Kendrick a little bit. I asked him how she was after the incident there in the gate. You know, you don't want to see that happen. So hopefully she's okay. I actually have horses for a wire-to-wire stable too, and I just hope she's okay. You know, I talked to Andre before, and I said, you know, the game plan is let the 4 go to lead. Let's try to stay on the inside and use our position, and then maybe she'll have that kick like she did in her last race at Finger Lakes. And he made the adjustments after the 4 was scratch and the right adjustments. If I could have ran across the infield and told him, listen, just go, you know, I would have. But I don't think they probably would have frowned upon that, so I didn't do it.
Well, she ran very impressively today, kind of shooting out of the gate too. But just talk about that talent. I mean, she was heavily bet first time out. You brought her here facing Stakes Company. Have you always kind of liked her?
I liked her from when she was a weanling. She just gave you that impression that she wanted to be a racehorse. And actually, she really impressed me today in the paddock. I thought that the way she was walking, the way she carried herself, in comparison to some of the other horses, I just thought that she was really a horse that had her mind on running, and she did, so that was good.
Well, congratulations on this one. I'll let you go take the win picture here.
That's all right. I'm better. Actually, I got a face for radio, so thanks, Gabby.
Congratulations, and definitely a rowdy crowd down here celebrating, Greg.
What's Jeremiah talking about? That's $1 million smile he has there in the winner's circle.
Indeed, it's a pretty smile at that.
Very happy connections there. It's all about New York Breds this afternoon and Party Like Grandma. New York Bred, bred by Patricia Calandro and Susan Georges. Getting the victory here in the Seeking the Ante to start off our NYRA Bets late pick 5 sequence, doing so at 5-2. Up next, we're going to be on the inner turf, 1/16 in the Yaddo, and 55 for trainer Chad Brown. She's been in several graded stakes races, including here at Saratoga last summer. She is the one to beat, 6-5 on the board.
Yeah, she's not only been in graded stakes, but she's won a grade 3 stake in the Florida Oaks, as well as been placed a couple of times. That resume is much better than anybody in this race.
There she is, making her way over to get saddled for yet more stakes action here in the Auto. 55, 6-5 favorite, looking to win her second straight start for trainer Chad Brown. We'll be back.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired, New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record-setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Next on Saratoga Live, it's New York bred Showcase Day. 3-year-old filly Split Time has won 5 of her last 6. Can she make it 3 straight stakes victories in the Fleet Indian? Offering Plan as a potent closing kick on turf, but so far he's come up close but empty in the West Point. Will the 3rd time in this race be the charm for the Chad Brown trainee? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Saratoga Live on New York Showcase Day. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Beautiful weather here on this Friday afternoon on Travers weekend. Of course, the big day tomorrow. We get set for the Midsummer Derby and a field of 11 lining up, including a filly taking on the Haskell winner, among others, in a loaded field for the Run Happy Travers. Greg Wolf, alongside one of the top trainers in the country here. Our next stakes race coming up, it is the Yaddo, and 55, a 4-year-old filly for trainer Chad Brown. She has hit the board at 12 of 13 career starts on turf. She's coming off a win last time out. You mentioned just a moment ago, before we went to break, she's a graded stakes winner as well. She's squarely the one to beat in this race.
Yeah, she's got the best resume of any horse in this field, but with the scratch of our outside horse here, the 9 horse, the pace scenario dramatically changes, and that hurts 55 because she wants something to run at early in the race. I don't see a lot of speed in this spot.
All right, we'll talk plenty more about this race coming up in here with Munchkin money out. Maybe the rail becomes a little more dangerous in this spot with over-negotiate. We're going to check in with the rest of our crew, head downstairs to the paddock with New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, former New York Met, L.A. Dodger Paul LaDuca.
Actually, Paul LaDuca has turned into Jeff Canizzo, the executive director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Jeff, thanks a lot for joining us. A big day here, New York Bred Showcase Day here at Saratoga.
That's right. Over $1 million in purses. It's our showcase here in Saratoga, some of New York Bred's finest, and we're really proud to be racing today.
Obviously, it's been a great meet already for the New York Breds. We saw the New York Bred Voodoo Song win a Grade 1 earlier. We saw the New York Reds run 1-2 in the Grade 1 Whitney, arguably one of the most prestigious races outside of a Triple Crown or Breeders' Cup race all year. And today, Offering Plan is running, and frankly, he probably should have beaten Voodoo Song the last time they ran.
I mean, that's the case. You know, we talk about a day like today that's New York bred focus, and literally every weekend, you know, on the map of racing scene, we have horses in graded races like Whitney Day having a 1-2 finish in one of the most prestigious races that's run in this country. By 2 of the top 10 horses in training. It's pretty special.
It really is. It's really great to see the New York Breds. And obviously, as a New Yorker, we're proud of the New York Breds. You're going to always be proud of your hometown team. And the New York Bred sale we had a couple of weeks ago, a record-setting sale. Obviously, this New York Bred program is very strong, but because these horses have shown they can compete in open company as well, the sale was your best ever.
It was. You know, we had our state bred sale here that happened in Fasig-Tipton. Highest average price ever on record, $107,000, which was up 10% from a year ago. It's the premier 18% of our full crop, about 325 horses that sell at that sale. And then literally, you know, 5 days before that, you had the open select Fasig-Tipton sale where we had the highest priced New York bred yearling to ever go through the ring at $1 million.
That's pretty cool. That really is. In fact, you're probably sorry you couldn't have that horse in the New York Bred sale. You probably wanted to have the $1 million horse in the New York Bred sale.
There's something to be said about being in both locations, so I think everybody's happy.
Well, I mean, New York is a great for breeding in becoming one of the top breeding states in the country. How many farms are there in New York State?
There's roughly about 300 thoroughbred farms spread across many different counties here in the state of New York. About 1.3 million acres actually used in equine property for the thoroughbred industry. So it's big business here for the state.
And it's great around Saratoga. I mean, there are farms out by Saratoga Lake, just maybe less than a mile from here. There are horse farms.
This is the horse corridor for the state, which is, you know, a very good thing for this racetrack, and people love to be here, and which makes a day like today so special.
No, it does, and of course, coming before the Travers as well. Very quickly, who's your Travers pick tomorrow? What do you got in the spot?
Oof.
Come on.
You know, Chad's going to be tough tomorrow. I think Chad's tough. He's having a fantastic meet.
Good Magic or Gronkowski?
You really, you know, I thought I was being slick with that answer, and you got me. I'm a good Magic fan. You want to know why? Because I heard the Gronk's not going to be here, so I can go with the Magic.
All right, you heard it from Jeff Canizzo, the executive director of New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Jeff, so much for joining us. A lot more coming on Saratoga Live today, but Jeff, thanks for joining us. Good Magic and Gronkowski, we just talked about him. Well, coming back from the break, we're going to see contenders for the Run Happy Travers, including Good Magic and Gronkowski.
This three-time graded stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and Horse of the Year Up with the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Now the excitement is building as his first foals have arrived this year. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by Distorted Humor. Ironicus, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Bayern turning for home in front. Coast of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back there in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The three of them come to the wire. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on.
So many great sights to see in Saratoga Springs, aside from the racetrack. Yaddo Garden's one of them, modeled after the classical Italian gardens in Europe. It's an artist community, Yaddo. Collectively, the artists who've worked there have won 66 Pulitzers, 61 National Book Awards, 24 National Book Critics Circle Awards, and a Nobel Prize. Definitely worth a visit if you have time while you're in town checking out the races. Time for a Paddock Report right now as we take a look at the field there for the Yaddo and the current odds. Mile and a 16th here on the inner turf. No surprise, Chad Brown's 55 coming off a victory, the 7-5 favorite. It's Paddock Report brought to you by Hillendale Farm. Now standing Curlin for $150,000. Let's go to Maggie.
Thanks, Greg. And you know the saying, the best is yet to come? Well, I feel as though that may apply here for your current favorite in number 755. As a 4-year-old, she's just really kind of hit that peak physical condition. She's really filled out her frame. She's utterly confident here in her demeanor, and she's a deserved favorite on form, and more importantly, at least from my perspective, here in the paddock. Moving on to a horse that is a price, that is number 1, Over Negotiate, but she does come back off of a layoff, her first start here as a 4-year-old for trainer Todd Pletcher. Now, she's a filly that has possessed some early speed in some of her previous efforts. She has that inside rail position. She does obviously have to deal with Lady Joan, but she comes back here fresh, and she is awfully sharp here, guys. As she's another one, too, that has done some growing, has filled out a bit from that 3- to 4-year-old jump, and we'll see what she does. Is she fit enough, though, coming back in what is an ambitious spot for her 4-year-old debut? And then number 6 is Tizelle. You know, going back to the tail end of last year and coming into this year, you could have argued that Tizelle was among the leaders of this division of New York breds, but after a very tough trip and very disappointing effort in the Mount Vernon, you'd have to think, though, that maybe there was a breathing issue or something along those lines here with Tizelle. She's since come back and run okay against Open Company. Now, she does have a nasal strip on here, so that might speak of something with the breathing issues, so we'll see. She's a filly that I think, though, looks fitter than she ever has, so maybe she is back to her old self here, Andy. I know she's one that we definitely had our eye on last year as one that was up and coming.
We did, Maggie, but I'm starting to think that she just didn't really pan out. And she looks so terrific in her first start this year. The horse to beat is 55. There's really no argument against that. But I'll tell you, we were talking off camera, and Maggie's going to be a little bit muted in her response because her husband trains La Moneda. But Tom Morley's done a sensational job with La Moneda, and she is a serious up-and-comer.
No, she is. She's won 3 in a row, looking for 4 in a row. She's won here at Saratoga. You can check off all the boxes you want. She's tactical enough. She was able to close into a fast pace, slow pace last time, fast pace the time before that. She's done it in different styles, and she gets a good draw. I think the 1 will show speed. I don't think the horse will show enough speed, maybe the 3, but the 2 could land in a very good stalking position here.
Yeah, she's had some trouble in her races, and she still wins easily. It's a big class test, 55. She has not beaten or met even a horse like 55 in recent starts. Feeling Bossy, you know, let's give Feeling Bossy a little love. She really improved off the claim for Jason Service, showing that speed, and she probably shouldn't have beaten 55 that day. It was unlucky, but I don't want to completely discount her in this race. I think she met some tougher horses last time. She's a chance to get at least a piece.
No, she does, and if they let her go on the lead and let her walk in the lead, she'll be ultra tough.
Yeah, we'll see how things play out, and it changed with the scratch of the horse on the outside, guys.
Certainly did. Pick 4 starts here. Almost $500,000 in the pool here is Over Negotiate. Rapoli Stable Silks, trained by Todd Pletcher with John Velasquez.
She's in a very ambitious spot here for these connections coming off a long layoff. We'll see if they use her speed from the inside.
La Moneda. She is undefeated on turf in 2018. She's reeled off 3 in a row for Tom Morley. Junior Alvarado rides.
Yeah, tremendous form. Look for her to sit wherever she wants to as long as she's comfortable, and she's one of the ones.
Feeling Bossy. She was a stakes winner against New York breds 2 starts back for trainer Jason Service. Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
Surprised she isn't the clear 3rd choice in this race. Feeling Bossy ran against tough horses last time, and while she was a bit fortunate 2 back, she can be improving for Jason Service.
Big price on Courageous Dinah for Annette Allard. And Joe Bravo in the irons cuts back from 1.25 miles.
Yeah, you know, her 2 races sprinting are very good, and then they went to 1.25 miles, like you said, 1.16 miles. So maybe she'll enjoy, actually, the 2-turn cutback.
Well, no one coming out of a tougher race than this one right here. War Canoe exits the Grade 1 Diana that was won by Sister Charlie, trained by Gary Contessa with Dylan Davis.
She is a really neat horse, and Gary Contessa has done an absolutely sensational job with her. She is over her head, but she's overachieved when she's been over her head in the past.
Well, Tazelle, she ran here last summer. She looked like a rising star. She did not seem herself at Belmont for sure. Trained by James Bond, Rajiv Mirage rides.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Rajiv takes her all the way back. I think she's better when she just makes one run from way out of it, and she might have gotten to form with that last race.
Here's the big favorite, 55 for Chad Brown. Comes in off a win with Javier Castellano back aboard.
Chad Brown looking for his 34th win in the meet. He's got the right horse here. He beat a horse, Kadura. She could win the Boston Spa tomorrow. That's how good she is.
Here is Lady Joan. She stole a race at a 1 3/8 last time out here at Saratoga. Luis Saez back aboard for Phil Serpy.
No, you couldn't have said it any better, Greg Wolf. She absolutely did steal that race, going 113. You got to give her credit. She came home at 8-1, and that was a pretty good field she beat, but I don't know if she's going to get away with those fractions today.
So that's your field here for the Yaddo. Purse of $150,000 as you look at the favorite there for trainer Chad Brown. We are going to go back to the Mount Vernon, and it was feeling bossy, getting the better of 55 and War Canoe in this race and doing it on the front end every step of the way.
Yeah, good race for 55 in this spot, and she'll be going back to 2 turns, which I actually think is going to be better for her today.
And, you know, Tom, as we said, it was before we started showing it, but 55 had significant trouble and had to steady inside, and we were trying to close from well back behind a slow pace, and you're forced to come up the rail. Getting in trouble is really, it dooms you, basically.
Well, he had to cut inside there towards the middle of the stretch, which was a weird move. But like you said, like, feeling bossy, she has to be left alone from the beginning. I just don't know if that happens. I mean, if you guys upstairs think anything different, I think the 1's got to go. I think there's some other speed. Obviously, the 8, Greg talking about that horse stealing the race. You get to the 2 here, La Moneda. That's why she's, to me, the horse to beat besides 55 because she can put herself wherever she wants.
La Moneda definitely has more early speed than the favorite, 55, and that could give her enough of an advantage, perhaps to upset 55. 55 is pretty good, though. 55 might have been happier if she had some more give in the ground, actually.
Yeah, sure, but this is visually impressive. This is just a horse lowing down, just sort of steering. I know that she's coming in a little bit, lugging in a tiny bit. You can see that the 6 had to steady for a split second, but that's pretty much a hand ride.
Yeah, hand ride the last 50 yards of that race. La Moneda, she has met every challenge, continuing to go up in class each time, and just pass with flying colors.
She really has been good. And you look at 2 of her last 3 races, she hasn't exactly had perfect trips. She had trouble in that race at Saratoga. And you look at the race 3 back on June 9th. I mean, granted, these are much better horses. The War Canoe finished 3rd. There was no pace. She was jammed up behind horses. She lost position. They're coming the stretch, and she overcomes it. And I think, Tom, you'll agree. The mark of the really good horses are the ones that can overcome trouble.
Yeah, overcome trouble that day and overcame a slow pace in her last start. So she indeed can do just that, Andy.
I mean, this is a good group. I think, where we talk about 55, but even, you look at Lady Joan. How good a year is she having?
Yeah.
Phil Serpy has done a sensational job with her. Her win at a 1 3/8 last time, she was not lucky. We watched it. She set an honest pace in there, and they were not catching her.
Well, she's sort of the Rodney Dangerfield of the group, right? She never really gets bet. She's never the favorite. But she's always right there at the wire.
No, she's been terrific. This is a tough spot, but she's been terrific.
Yeah.
Lady Joan, everyone counted her out in her last start. She cruised along for a gate-to-wire win at 8-1. Being dismissed a little bit again here at 6-1. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet for more.
And she absolutely is. She's a filly that is in fine form right now here with her owner, Tony Smith, with Hillyfield Stable. And, Tony, you actually bred this filly. So what has the ride kind of been like to see her go through all those New York bred conditions and now go against Stakes Company today?
Being such a small breeder, from Ladywell Court, and then we have now 3, 4 horses. To be so lucky is quite extraordinary. Who would think that with 2 horses, and we win twice already at Saratoga. I mean, it's unbelievable.
You say you have kind of a small breeding operation. How small is it?
1. Ladywell Court, that's it, yes. Yes, so it's wonderful. So it's 2 wins at Saratoga, and by the end of today, maybe 3.
And how exciting is it, with this filly, too? Obviously, she did get the victory last time out at Saratoga, but she's just always there all the time.
she works so hard. And, you know, as Phil says, by the way, Phil Serpy has done a fantastic job in bringing her back today, for example. And she always tries and always goes for it. It's absolutely marvelous to watch her, you know.
She absolutely
ornery, from what Phil says in the stable. She's a little bit ornery out there, you know, and she does it her way. But once she gets on the track, then, you know, she does it.
Well, sometimes the ornery fillies are the most talented fillies. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Tony.
Very welcome.
All right, for more on Lady Joan, we'll check in with Maggie Wolfendale, who's waiting by on horseback.
Thanks, Gabby. And I know that Lisa does an excellent job getting on Lady Joan, as Lisa has told me how much of a difficult ride she can be. Now, guys, this is the third start of her career, and while she is still showing her typical energy, she's just maybe a touch more quiet than what she has been in her previous two efforts up here at the spa. But she is turning back here in distance. We'll see, though. Is she going to dominate on the front end, whereas the one horse over negotiating here, she has been sharp since the time she set foot here in the paddock. Now, a horse that is an overachiever that you always just seem to have to root for is number 5 in here, War Canoe. And she just did her thing under her usual rider, Dylan Davis, went off by themselves, framed herself up beautifully, got her typical good warm-up here. And, you know, guys, she's always one that you can't throw out as far as exotics are concerned. She's always right there, Greg.
She is a trier, and she, again, is exiting a grade 1, the Diana. She's one that's going to be a little dependent, though, on Trip.
Yeah, Trip is going to mean a lot in here. And we're talking about who's going to make the lead in this race, Greg. It's maybe not such a question of who of these horses is going to make the lead, but how quick are they going to go as a group? I see this as a closely bunched group with not a lot of pace. Advantage goes to the ones that are in front.
And, you know, back to Lady Joan for a moment, who last time out, she did get to steal that race on the front end, the 8 we're talking about. That was at 1 3/8. You brought up a good point to me. I mean, coming out of a longer race like that kind of dulls your speed a little bit when you cut back, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Maggie mentioned it's the third start of her for the meet. So she's coming back quickly on 2 different occasions. It'd be interesting to see in this shorter distance whether she can actually take this field gate to wire.
There is a look at her third start of the meet. She started opening weekend. She came back August 10th and now returns just 14 days later. So a lot being asked of her here at this Saratoga meeting, but off her form, she must be doing awfully good, and certainly ran huge last start to get that win in a tough spot. And that was against Open Company as well, back in against New York breds, albeit, as you see the hardware awaiting the winner here, some very tough New York breds. Even money right now on the 7 filly, 55 for Chad Brown, who is a graded stakes winner in her career. She comes from very far out of it. Another one who is trip dependent. She is going to need some help up front, need a seam. Can Javier Castellano guide her there? We will find out. It is the Yado on New York Showcase Day. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Lady Joan coming up to the outside stall, goes in, and they're all in line. They're off in the Yado. Tizelle missed the break by just a bit. There goes Lady Joan on the far outside, up and after the lead with Over Negotiate down toward the inside. It's these two with Feeling Bossy sitting just behind them, and they've opened up 4.5 lengths on La Moneda, who's 4th as they pass by us. Then comes 55. Break of another 2 lengths more to Tizelle outside of Courageous Dinah. War Canoe at the back of the pack as Lady Joan leads them along, and Over Negotiate drafts in right behind her. She's 1.5 lengths off the lead, and it's 3.5 lengths back to Feeling Bossy after a 23.25 opening quarter mile. La Moneda's 4th. She's a good 7-8 lengths off the lead as they head to the backstretch. And then comes 55. Courageous Dinah is next. Tizelle to the outside. War Canoe 12 lengths from the front as Lady Joan and Luis Saez continue to lead the way up the backstretch. John Velasquez keeping Over Negotiate not too far behind. She's 2 lengths off of her, and now it's 5 lengths more to the others after a 47.34 half mile. Feeling Bossy 3rd for the turn. La Moneda begins to pick it up from 4th. 55, still a lot of ground to make up, and now Javier Castellano starting to motivate her, but she's moving. She's 6-7 lengths off the lead as they make their way around the far turn. Lady Joan on top, trying to take them the distance here in the Auto. 3/4, 111.21. It is Lady Joan, the leader from Over Negotiate. La Moneda's coming, so too 55 on the outside, who had to shift ground there in mid-stretch. Lady Joan still there. Here come La Moneda. Moneda, and 55 to confront her at the 16th pole. La Moneda, 55. Lady Joan, it's La Moneda. La Moneda takes the auto. She beat 55 and Lady Joan, who were in a photo for place, and War Canoe was fourth.
Well, Lady Joan intent on getting to the front in here, but La Moneda runs her down, her fourth consecutive victory.
And Greg, at some point, we're going to go back to the backside and take a look at these horses going down the backside. La Moneda's in a position, and she recognizes that she's got to go chase Lady Joan if she wants to win. Looks over, Junior Alvarado looks over his right shoulder, sees there's no horse there, goes around and gets in better position. It's the only reason he got up in his final jumps.
But I'll tell you something, 55 had no excuse not to beat La Moneda in this race. She was only a couple lengths behind her in the backstretch, and La Moneda, and good points that Tom makes, getting that position, but La Moneda really just outran her down the lane.
Well, yeah, it was a good stretch still down the lane. I'll tell you what, Lady Joan is tough as nails. She had to go fast early to gain the lead because the one was intent to get the job done. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Tom. You tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, so when we see the head-on, you're going to watch Junior Alvarado look over his outside shoulder because he had a horse there and he didn't want to move around to go in better position. When that horse disappears from view, he's going to get the right spot against Lady Joan, and it's the difference between winning and losing. Look, as far as 55 is concerned, yeah, let's take a look at it right there. That's him in the green silks behind the rider with the yellow silks. He's going to take a peek right through here and decide he's got to get out.
Right behind the pink cap.
Right there, behind the pink cap. He just did that, and he's going to get in better position. If he doesn't make that move, if Junior Alvarado doesn't make that move right there to get in better position against the leaders, he doesn't win this race.
So split-second decision, that's what these riders have to deal with. As you see an exuberant Tom Morley with a victory here, and he has a real good 5-year-old mare. 4 for 4 now on the turf for 2018. Let's send it downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
The night, Miss Moni. But Junior, what a great job. As you said, you just got an excellent trip here beneath La Moneda in the auto.
Yeah, you know, I thought as soon as we leave the gate, you know, saw those 3 horses going to the lead, you know, she broke good. Then I'm sitting 4, you know. I thought, you know, half of the race, you know, like, I mean, it's up to her right now. I mean, I thought we were going, you know, in a perfect trip. And I mean, like I said, I mean, from the 316, when I started picking it up, I mean, she just was there for me, and, you know, she have a nice turn of foot, and she showed it today.
And Junior, this is your second win on her. And, you know, as you said to me, she's kind of like the ideal horse to ride because when you call on her, she's right there for you.
Yeah, I mean, she breaks good. Then she jumps in the bridle right away for you to get a position, you know. And then, like I said, whatever you are, you know, she just, as soon as you turn from home and you want to go somewhere, I mean, she just pull you out of there. So you get a bit tied on by the time you're going to ask her to run.
Now, Javier, or excuse me, Junior, tell me, were you excited when Javier decided to ride 55? You could ride La Moneda, honestly.
Well, I was excited that I get to ride La Moneda. And, you know, to be honest, you know, Javier told me, you know, Junior, that filly is going to be tough. You know, she's a nice filly. And we were just talking, you know, she have a nice turn of foot. So that probably, you know, might help you, you know, because you probably will be a little bit in front of me. And like I said, I mean, it worked out today. And, you know, thanks to the Team Morley team, you know, they did a great job. And, you know, I'm just glad that I was a passenger today.
Well, Junior, congratulations here once again, and congratulations to my big girl here. Guys, I don't even want to know what my husband looks like.
He's actually very composed right now, Maggie, doing very well. And this is what a great job he has done with La Moneda. I didn't want to say anything, but it turns out, because you never know what goes into it ahead of time if pre-race commitments are made. But it sounds like Javier Castellano had choice in here, and you can't blame him for going with the meets leading trainer for Chad Brown and a graded stakes winning filly.
Yeah, it's a lot of elements that go into what riders ride and what race. So you can't just measure it by horse to horse. How about Tom Morley? After winning the Secretariat, he knows how to be composed. That was a big win in Arlington for him.
That was with Carrick, who I believe now is going to go long against older horses in the next start. But right now, La Moneda just beat a graded stakes winning filly for the meets leading trainer in Chad Brown. This mare, since she has turned 5 years old, has just become a completely different runner. She has turned into a star now. This is a star-making performance. 4 victories in a row she's reeled off, all on the turf. And those last 3, they all came at a mile. Proof she can win at a mile and a 16th today.
And they all came at lesser competition than this race. Starts off at an A other than, wins it. 2 other than, wins it. Oh, yeah, let's go to a stake now. And beats 55. A big, big win today.
Huge performance from this 5-year-old mare, daughter of Freud. Junior Alvarado, as you pointed out, making that winning move here in what turned out to be a very tight finish. And she had to run down a filly who was alone in front on the lead that was running a big effort in Lady Joan.
Did indeed.
Let's send it downstairs to Gabby Gaudet.
Okay. Thank you very much, Greg. And here with a very excited Tom Morley. Man, this filly can do anything. Slow pace, fast pace, mile and a 16th. She's just absolutely blossomed.
Yeah, and, you know, huge credit to her owner and breeder, Trish Mosley, for giving her such a patient start to her life. You know, she debuted here last year as a 4-year-old, but she's just got better and better and better. But as you said, you know, Javier and Junior have both always said that you can do anything with her. You can sit right behind a fast pace. You can drop off it. Bit of cut in the ground doesn't bother her. Fast turf. You know, she's a remarkably good filly.
Such a nice horse to have in the barn. And talk a little bit about, you know, those little steps up the ladder in these New York bred programs to really build her confidence to get her to her best today.
She's, you know, she's a big filly. And she's improved physically with every race. She's got stronger and stronger. She keeps running faster and faster. But, you know, they were logical steps to take with her. And today was another step on the ladder that I do genuinely believe that she can win a graded stake, this filly. Brendan Walsh said to me before he'd even run her that he thought he had a New York bred in the barn who was a graded stakes caliber filly. So, you know, she is very good.
We'll let you go take the win picture. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gabby.
All right, Tom Morley back in the winner's circle here with La Moneda. She is just absolutely outstanding lately here, Greg.
Now she's turning into a star for Tom Morley. Of course, Maggie Wolfendale's husband there having a nice moment. They're going to be celebrating tonight with this performance. Junior Alvarado had experience on her. He was on board her 2 starts back when she won at Belmont as well. So it certainly helps that he had a little bit of a chance to get acquainted with her. But Tom Morley sounded like he was confident coming into this race.
He did indeed sound like he was confident. That extra 16th of a mile certainly didn't hurt her as she's been going in mile races and pulls up to a mile and 16th today. Great, great ride by Junior Alvarado. We talked about it earlier. One of many in the jocks room that you're going to get your money's worth if you put him on your horse.
La Moneda. Best win she has yet in her career. She is now 6 for 8 lifetime on the turf. Returned $7.60 for the win. Bred and owned by Patricia Mosley. New York bred 5-year-old mare, daughter of Freud, out of a Jade Hunter mare, Jade Palace. Impressive in the Yado and holding off a very accomplished filly for trainer Chad Brown, who went off, by the way, at even money in this race. So we have a big favorite defeated, even though the second choice wins, might play big as well in this Naira Bets Late Pick 5 follow along.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And look at that pool, 271,000. That's pretty tasty for a Friday afternoon.
Yes, it is, and it's only going to get bigger on Saturday for the premier day of the meet on Travers Day. More stakes action coming up. 3-year-old fillies trying to get a mile and an eighth. Linda Rice will send out Split Time. She's won back-to-back stakes. She's won 5 out of her last 6. Can she keep the streak alive? Daughter of Take Charge Indy. Won a stake at Laurel, a stake at Finger Lakes, and will now try and pull off a trifecta 3 in a row and win a stake here at Saratoga. As we take a look at the field, she's your current favorite right now on the board at 3-1, Tom.
Yes, she is indeed. And look, she's going to get some pace in here, which is exactly how she won the Oaks up at Finger Lakes. A bunch of them went out to the front early. She sat right behind them, had a great trip, but won like she was the best horse in the race because she was able to put herself tactically into the race, bide her time, and finish strongly.
Very happy Maggie Wolfendale, daughter Grace. They're going to be celebrating tonight. Yado winners with La Moneda. I don't know if we're going to see Maggie the rest of the show. Maggie, we need you. Don't go away yet. You can celebrate later tonight. Of course, Fleet Indian, our stakes race coming up next. Did this back in 2006 in the personal ensign. New York bred daughter of Indian Charlie. Reeling off a 7th consecutive victory as Jose Santos aboard for the victory back in 06.
I love looking at this old footage. Santos, that's back when I was an assistant trainer. You know, hadn't even started out yet, but I envied all these horses back then.
She was sensational. 13 for 19 in her career. Of course, won the personal ensign by more than 4 lengths. Would follow it up with a Grade 1 win in the Beldame at odds on that year. Lead Indian is coming up next here on Saratoga Live. Quick break, and we will be back.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
They're off in the Whitney.
When New York breds Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits delivered the Exacta in the Whitney Stakes on August 4th at the Spa,
Diversify has won the Whitney in style.
when they delivered that New York bred Exacta, it only paid $10.30 for a buck. The low payout proving that savvy bettors respect the ever-improving quality of horses bred in the Empire State. And so do buyers like Bob Baffert and his client, Coolmore Stud. The tourney of Triple Crown winners Justify and American Pharaoh came to Saratoga to take home a New York-bred son of American Pharaoh.
Thank you very much. In the back, $1 million, Patrick. Thank you.
The yearling was the second New York bred of 2018 to bring $1 million at auction. Hip 31 at Fasig-Tipton's 2-year-old sale back in March was the first.
It's the #1 sale in the United States. We're producing Grade 1 winners by a percentage of sales graduates. It's been a great source of top-class runners around the world for many, many years, and the results in 2017 and 2018 on the racetrack speak for themselves.
Bottom line, New York breds are a quality product, and they're backed by $58 million in restricted purse and award money each year.
Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner Good Magic may finally be ready to reclaim status as the divisional leader following a powerful performance in the Haskell Invitational. while the 2-year-old champion chased Justify admirably in the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown. After sitting out the Belmont, the Haskell was his time to shine.
The horse ran a great race in the Haskell, exited it sound, strong. He's getting over the track here well. He's had 2 local works, and I just love the way he's coming to the race.
1915 was the last time a filly won the Travers. No filly has even attempted the race since 1979. But after sweeping the first 2 legs of the Canadian Triple Crown, including a dominant performance at 1.25 miles in the Queen's Plate.
We think 1.25 miles is her game. It's our feeling that probably going 1.25 miles, she's as good as any 3-year-old in the country.
Wonder Godot's connections decided to bypass fillies in the Alabama.
We think we have an outstanding filly. She's going to get 5 pounds. That was one thing that really made us seriously look at it. It gave us an extra week off of her last start, and we're trying to make history.
Catholic Boy put himself on the Triple Crown trail with a win in the Remsen at Aqueduct as a 2-year-old. But it's been on turf, with 2 thrilling come-from-behind performances, including the Grade 1 Belmont Derby, where he's become a standout.
Surface, there's that question mark over our heads. Distance, I am certain it is his best distance. Certain. No problem with that.
Then, of course, there's Gronkowski, making his first start since an eye-catching runner-up effort in the Belmont to Justify.
This horse continues to improve. Now that we've had him a little longer, we have a better feel for this horse. We get to know each other. And I think 1.25 miles will be a good trip for him.
Dwayne Lucas is back in the Travers, comparing his hopeful bravado to a previous Travers winner in Will Take Charge. Tenfold may have won the Travers Prep, but it came with an adventurous stretch run, a problem trainer Steve Asmussen knows must be corrected if he hopes to pull off a Jim Dandy Travers double. With the division now wide open for the taking, who will claim 3-year-old supremacy and etch their names into the history books and their connections' colors onto the infield canoe. Well, so many great storylines for the Run Happy Travers coming up on Saturday. And Tom, I know a horse that you like, of course, trying to pull off that Jim Dandy Travers double. And Sir Steve Asmussen would think, can we just unplug the tote board in the infield? I might have a lot better chance.
Yeah. So you talk about the 10-fold. And look, this horse was taken out of his game in the Jim Dandy. The instructions obviously were in the paddock, let's take it to this field early, let's make the lead. Ricardo Santana rode him hard out of the gate to make that lead, and it ended up being the right move that day. But it wasn't that flattering a race to watch to the naked eye. He's going to come back to his original type of running like he did in the Belmont. You make a strong argument that day with the trouble he got in that he was easily second best in the Belmont. I like Tenfold, and I like him at a price, so I think a lot of people are going to look at the Jim Dandy and think, he's not doing much finishing here. And they'd be right. He's not finishing that great here. But he is tired from what he did the first half of this race to put this field away.
Well, here comes the drifting out. And the concern is, well, it was not a one-time thing. In a work since this, he has done it again.
We watched it. Now, that was over at the Oklahoma track. He did it galloping out. I think he loses a little focus from time to time. You see me drifts out there. He was clear of the field. I'm okay with that from the standpoint of it hasn't cost him a race yet.
Will be fascinating. 1.25 mile Midsummer Derby, the Run Happy Travers coming up on Saturday. Again, we start early on Saturday tomorrow, so be sure to join us 1 Eastern start time for us on Saratoga Live. Fleet Indian is next. Look at the field. It's split time for Linda Rice. Won 5 of her last 6, the 7-2 top choice. It's time for a Paddock Report right now. We're going to check in with someone I didn't know they come back to the show. Maggie Wolfendale, you should be partying right now, but instead, giving us a Paddock Report brought to you by Hillendale Farm.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I could use a little champagne, but we'll save that for after the show as we have our mind on business here for this Fleet Indian. And we'll start with the inside runner, who I've heard some murmurs about this one, because Purely Lucky for Brad Cox is actually the work partner. And I have to thank Andy Serling and David Aragona for alerting, and Nick Tamaro for alerting us to that. But, you know, you would think that Brad is using her because he does feel as though she has some ability on the dirt, whereas primarily her form has been mostly turf. And why I prefer her on the greener surface, You know what's interesting with her, though, here today? She's gotten very sharp. I mean, she's been a little bit on the obstreperous side as far as getting saddled and everything like that. It seems as though she's settled down a little bit, but she does have that inside post. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Javier Castellano aboard here going the 1.125 miles. Number 2 is Take Charge Aubrey, and I remember talking to Bruce Levine after her blowout win against Winners for the first time here earlier in the meet, and he seemed pretty confident that he was going to stake next in this Fleet Indian, and he really, really likes this filly, and I do too. She's come along very nicely for him. I don't love her, though, at 9 furlongs. Like I said, she has developed, so I prefer her more now going to it than I did a couple months ago, because she's just taken several steps forward, but we'll see what shakes out. Is number 3, Split Time. She's progressively become successful at longer distances, and she looks like a filly that wants the 9 furlongs. She's big, she's rangy, she's so well conditioned here for trainer Linda Rice. Looks as though Linda has possibly had this spot in mind, obviously winning the New York Oaks in her last start at Finger Lakes. I think this filly might be able to secure this leg of this 3-year-old filly division. Andy, what do you think about Split Time?
I like Split Time's chances here. I'm not enamored with a short price in a tough field like this. She did have the run of the race last time. I mean, she was in the best part of the track, in the middle of the track, and she had a very good trip. But I just wonder if maybe she's not the best horse who's best suited to the 1.125 miles.
It's a deceiving race, right? Because when you watch the fractions, it's like, what, 114 and change, but she did get a good setup. There was a lot of horses that were like bunched up in front of her, and she was able to wheel out and beat them. But the one thing you got to give her, it was her first time ever around 2 turns, and she dominated this group. She just went right by them. She had to stop a tiny bit. You could see the way she strides, Andy, that she has a little grind, and I think the 1.125 miles will be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if how the racetrack is playing affects this race. I don't feel as strongly as Tom does. I think Tom might be right, that it is a track that's favoring speed and inside speed, but I want to see some more examples, because I've seen some races run that sort of, they may have been logical the way they were run.
Yeah.
We'll see how things play out. The 2 Take Charge Aubrey, now obviously she had a big win here just 11 days ago, and she stretches out. She was down the rail in Finger Lakes, the race we just looked at, and the rail may not have been the best place to be that day.
No, and she came off a smashing effort. I thought she was very good at Belmont, and then she came back here and run well. That race was confusing. You're right. She got stuck on the rail, and it looked like she got sort of intimidated a little bit. She had to steady out of there. She only lost the whole race. You could see at the top of the lane, they were all in contention. So I don't see why she can't improve, too, especially with Milwaukee Brew on the bottom side. She actually should love this distance.
And with all due respect, Andre Worry, Jose Ortiz has the mount today, and he's pretty good, that Jose Ortiz guy. Rachel's Blue Moon. Jimmy Jerkins, 4 straight wins with dirt horses. This is a speed horse, but so is English Soul. Are these two going to be able to clear and hook up, and how fast are they going to go, and can they survive it?
Yeah, you know, these 1.125 races so far in the meet have been somewhat dominated a tiny bit, but you make a good point about English Soul to 11 going to the front end. But Rachel's Blue Moon is an interesting horse. They put blinkers on this horse, and absolutely brutal start first time. Then the next time went straight to the front end, and Andy, she went 109 and change. Now, if she goes 109 and change in this race, she might run them off their feet. They all might just
she'll
stop.
Be in front by 20 lengths.
Exactly, right?
She might finish last if
Yeah.
she does that, but different circumstance, obviously, if Paul's kidding around 2 turns. She beat a horse who came back to win. I mean, the second place finisher that last race, Pink Twist, came back to win in
Yeah.
a 1.125 miles. She's an improving horse, and one thing Jimmy Jerkins is absolutely sensational at are routers on the dirt.
No,
he is really great with those horses.
Yeah, he's very good. And like you said, like El Corredor on the bottom side, he's actually sort of sneaky. Even though this horse looks like El Corredor was a sprinter, he's actually done better, or he's got better numbers with his horses going around 2 turns.
Yeah, we'll take a quick look at the 11 English Soul. English Soul is a really, really cool horse. Because the truth is, I'm not sure that she couldn't be better on the turf if they ever go back there. I just don't know how she works on a trip, trying to get the lead from the far outside post, 11 post. We're not talking about post 6 in a 6-horse field in 1.125 miles. This is post 11. She's got her work cut out for her here,
She
Paul.
reminds me a little bit of Lady Joan at a lower level. Obviously, Lady Joan just ran a tremendous second. English Soul's done nothing wrong. I mean, she's missed the board one time, and that was on the turf going long against Open. But when she's in against New York Breds, she's in the money.
4-1, though, from that post, man. And I think she's very good. I just don't know if she can overcome the post, guys.
Well, 1.125 miles as well here at Saratoga. You can lose a lot of room early going into that first turn, Tom.
You can indeed. And look, there's a lot of ifs on these horses on who even wants to go 2 turns. I mean, Take Charge Aubrey, is she necessarily that good going 2 turns? And you've got so much speed in here and horses coming off 1-turn races. I just think this setup is just ideal for your favorite split time, the 3-horse.
Here's Purely Lucky. She'll go turf back to dirt for trainer Brad Cox, and Javier Castellano rides.
Maybe she's a new horse, but her 2 dirt races give her no chance in this race. Workmate of the coming champion 3-year-old filly or not.
Yeah, Monomoy Girl she's been working with. Take Charge Aubrey. Bruce Levine trains. Jose Ortiz rides.
Bruce has been hot. 11 for 18 in the exacta with his horses. And this Glencrest Farm Charge does get Jose Ortiz aboard.
Here's split time. She has won 5 of her last 6. She's the current favorite for Linda Rice.
Distance should be no problem. She may get some pace in front of her. She's the horse to beat.
Junior Alvarado looking to win back-to-back starts. Because We Are Loyal actually won the Seeking the Annie last year on New York Showcase Day. We'll try and win again on the same day here for Mark Hennig.
You know, they added blinkers, too, back on the dirt in the Maddie May. She wasn't awful to be 37-1.
Aunt Babe for James Ferraro. Eric Consell rides. Of course, James Ferraro had a monster winner to close out the card a few days ago.
Jimmy Ferraro is a very underrated trainer, does a good job. I don't know what she's doing this race in 1 1/8 miles, but we are going to make a score with this horse when she cuts back in distance.
Held accountable. Phil Serpy trains. Dylan Davis rides.
Yeah, you know what? They tried this horse at 2 at 1 1/8 miles. Guess who she ran into? Wonder Godot. And now they're trying her at 3 years old at 1 1/8 miles. This could be a dangerous horse here.
Rachel's Blue Moon. Jimmy Jerkins sends this one out with Luis Saez. And here's a look at our Supernova, trained by Lauren Lynn.
Yeah, this one, big long shot here, 3 for 10, needs to improve here at 50-1.
Indy's Lady, Irad Ortiz Jr. for Jeremiah Engelhart. We saw him win earlier on the card.
And she's a horse that was wide around the track last time out, and this race falls apart. She can get a piece of it, especially with Irad.
14-1 on Pas de Deuce, the 10. We'll see here in a moment. For trainer John Morrison, she's a daughter of Curlin, we're going to see here. And she is making career start number 5. There she is with Rajiv Mirage.
Yeah, I guess if you like it 14-1, she's gone the distance, so she's got that experience.
And English Soul will round out the field. For Ray Handel, Manny Franco aboard. She brings speed from the outside.
She's a very, very talented horse, but she is really compromised by her post and the other speed in here, and is an underlay at 4-1.
So that's your field. 1 1/8 here in the Fleet Indian for 3-year-old fillies. And Linda Rice's split time favorite clicks down another notch here. Tom down to 5-2, coming off back-to-back wins.
Yeah, she's down to 5-2. And let's talk about the question of pace in this race and the number of horses that are going from 1 turn to 2 turns. You've got the 2-horse Take Charge Aubrey. Is she as good at the 2 turns? Held accountable to 6. And then you move on to Rachel's Blue Moon, who has a lot of speed, never run 2 turns. I just think there's going to be a wild dash to the front end early in this race, and that's going to set up for these horses to come from off the pace.
And here's a long shot, and this one scared me a little bit as well. Paula Duca brought it up. Held accountable. She faced Wonder Gadot, who, of course, is facing the boys in the Travers tomorrow. She faced her in the Grade 2 Demoiselle, final race of her 2-year-old campaign.
So she's a real question at 2 turns, okay? She's done it 1 time in the Demoiselle. I realize that's a very classy race. She was 5th. That's respectable. But she looks like she's been geared towards 1 turn in her later races. They've tried a lot of different things with her. Turf, distance, 1 turn, middle distance. Not sold on her.
My problem with Held Accountable, and I hear what you're saying about it, is she was a terrific 2-year-old filly last year, so I understand why they took a shot in the Demoiselle, and she didn't run terribly in there. She's been awful so far this year, and last time was the time she was supposed to do some running. She came out of a turf race, a sloppy track race, and last time out, Tisnow Smile closed from dead last. She was sitting behind the pace. She didn't do any running at all, and I just don't see her based on her 3-year-old form. I see her if she got back to that 2-year-old form or improved on it, but she hasn't done it.
Well, maybe the grinding style is telling Phil, okay, now I got to send her long because the 2 sprint races haven't worked. They went back on the third. Nothing's worked. So now their answer is, and you got to check the boxes, and they're going to try to check it again. I would think she's got to be forwardly placed, and they got to take a shot here.
She's 30-1. I don't see it based on her form, but she is a big price if you like her. Maggie Wolfendale. Let's join her.
Thank you, Andy. I want to talk about the outside runner in number 11, English Soul here. I got a chance to catch up with trainer Ray Handel as we were walking out, and he said that last race up at Finger Lakes, nothing went right for her. She didn't ship great. She wasn't training the same as she had been heading into that effort, and here this time around, he says that she is training beautifully up here at Saratoga, and I will say I agree because, you know, there's a lot of horses that have gotten a little hot out here. Not her. She is fit as a flea, and she's gotten a beautiful warm-up beneath her regular rider in Manny Franco. And as Ray said, he knows she's not going to clear from the outside post, but he'd like to see her forwardly placed and laying right off the leader's hip. Next, we'll move on to number 7, the likely pace setter in number 7, Rachel's Blue Moon here for Jimmy Jerkins. And I remember last time Jimmy Jerkins saying that he was a little apprehensive about this filly. It was very hot that day back at Belmont, and she is what we call kind of non-sweaters. You want a horse to sweat so they can naturally cool themselves off, and he said that she has a little bit of trouble doing that. And here today, obviously, she's not sweating, as he would say, but it's cooler. It's way cooler than it was back at Belmont, and so I would think that could only help her chances. Now, one that is sweating a bit, but that's typical, is number 6, Held Accountable. Guys, as you said, I think she's been crying out for more ground, going this 1.125. She could be dangerous here at a big price, but we'll throw it back over to Andy as they're heading into the gate.
All right. I'm interested to see what happens here, Paul. I think it's a really fun race. There's nothing better than a big field going 2 turns in the dirt. Just so many different things can happen. I'm interested in seeing how the race is run and how it affects the finish.
No, one horse I'm going to mention before we go back upstairs is the 9 Indy's Lady. I actually thought that Split Time ran good. I thought Indy's Lady ran the second best race in that race.
They're going to the gate. Let's head back upstairs.
About fully loaded here for the Fleet Indian. 3-year-old fillies tackling 2 turns. Most of them trying a 1.125 for the first time. Who will be still standing here first crossing the wire? There is Long Shot Aunt Babe. But the favorite remains Split Time for Linda Rice, trying to win her 3rd consecutive stakes win with Junior Alvarado. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
Just one left to load here. English Soul comes up to the outside gate here to complete this field of 11. They're all in line, and we are ready for the start. They're off in the Fleet Indian. Held Accountable comes out running on the lead. On the inside, it's Take Charge Aubrey and Cause We Are Loyal. English Soul is on the far outside as they make their way for that turn. Then Rachel's Blue Moon, Purely Lucky down on the inside. After that, it's Split Time and finding the seam on the inside to save ground. Pas de Deuce in behind them by another 2.5. Then our Supernova, followed by Aunt Babe, and at the back of the field is Indy's Lady. So onto the back stretch here, 23.67 the opening quarter mile. Take Charge Aubrey, the leader, by 3/4 of a length. Cause We Are Loyal in the outside is second onto the back stretch. Then it's English Soul on the outside of Purely Lucky with 6 furlongs to go. Held Accountable and Rachel's Blue Moon are side by side outside of Split Time, who's just 4 lengths from the front up the backstretch. Our Supernova next, and then Pas de Deuce and Babe to the outside, and a long way last is Indy's Lady. 48.66 was the half mile. It is Take Charge Aubrey and Cause We Are Loyal ahead apart with a half mile to go. English Soul is just to the outside of them, and Purely Lucky rides the rail around that turn. Split Time is right there in contention. 3 lengths off the lead. Rachel's Blue Moon coming under ride now. Our Supernova is going to go 4 wide on the turn. So they make their way to the top of the stretch. 3/4 in 112.51. Take Charge Aubrey with a narrow lead over Cause We Are Loyal and a 3 wide English Soul. Purely Lucky cuts the corner in 4th. Split Time goes up on the outside 5th. Then Rachel's Blue Moon. They're into the final furlong here. Take Charge Aubrey trying to fend off these foes. English Soul on the outside comes up alongside. Cause We Are Loyal is 3rd. Then comes Split Time, and way on the outside from dead last, Indy's Lady is rolling late, but the wire is coming up soon, and the winner is going to be English Soul. In a photo on the wire with Take Charge Aubrey, Split Time, and Indy's Lady.
English Soul with the win. Indy's Lady was flying late, but English Soul just gets up.
English Soul was a deserving winner of this race from the 11 hole. Manny Franco wanted to make the lead out of the gate. He sent his horse that way and ended up getting stuck like happens so often to horse an outside post. 3 wide on that turn. He's then 3 to 4 wide on the second turn as well. This horse ran 50 yards further than any other horse in the race.
I tell you what, Tom, you and I have a lot of disagreements, but we are on the exact same page here. This was some performance by this filly. I mean, I thought she was as overbet as a horse could be at 4-1. She had everything go wrong for her, and I know the pace somewhat held together, but given her trip, 4 hit the wire together, and it's a tough beat for your 9 Paul, a nice long shot you liked. But English Soul, she was tremendous.
She was. I can't take anything away from her. She was tremendous. I mean, the 11 and the 9. The 9 came from another zip code. Had to be 20 lengths out of it the way this racetrack is played. But listen, English Soul did all the dirty work from the start to the finish. The 9 sort of dropped back and made one run. I can't believe it made it that close. No excuse for your favorite. I thought the 3 had a very good trip split time.
I agree with you. Spread tie is the one who should have won, especially as well as the 9 ran. Because if the number 9 horse, Indy's Lady, could make that run, then the favorite, split time, actually the favorite was the 2, Cape Guard Aubrey, believe it or not. But split time had no excuse. I'm with you.
English Soul picks up the 4th win of her career. Daughter of English Channel wins for trainer Ray Handel. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And out here with Manny Franco and English Soul. She had that long flowing mane, Manny, but let's talk about your trip. She was by far an hour the best here. Unfortunately, that post position did not do you any favors, but you kept her close.
Yeah, I'm agree with you, Maggie. The post position, that was not good at all, but I work out the trip, you know. I tried to break out of there running and get some position before the turn. And I was in the 3rd pot going to the turn, so I was good. So after that, I just waited the longer I could because Balana ate. So she was game. She did it.
She definitely showed a lot of heart here today. And, you know, I was riding out behind her trainer, Ray Handel, and he was about as confident as a trainer can be about a horse. Were you as confident as her rider?
Yeah, I was so confident too because I saw her in the mornings working. So we was pretty confident with her, and she did it.
I was going to say, this is a filly that you've stuck by. How nice is it to see her develop into a 1 1/8 horse?
Man, I give all the credit to Raymond. He's been doing a great job with the filly, and the owner, thank you for letting me ride her. And all I can say is thank you.
Wow, English Soul has a lot of fans out here. Manny, congratulations. Go get your picture taken. It is a Manny cheering club here on the clubhouse turn, guys.
Manny Franco, 4th in the jockey standings right now. Had a tremendous Belmont, tied for 3rd, having an incredible Saratoga meet, as well as you see a crowded winner's circle. English Soul, Zilla Racing Stables, trainer Ray Handel, doing a real nice job with his Daughter of English Channel.
Oh, yeah, matching shirt, tie, and silks. The lime green and the black of the silks here, as well as a fired-up crowd that knows how to dress for their horse.
And we can hear this winner's circle celebration all the way up here on the rooftop. And English Soul, the 11. 9 was closing fast under Irad Ortiz Jr., but from that outside post, English Soul, best of the bunch. And there's young Ray Handel. Nice training job with his 3-year-old filly. Gets a stakes victory in the Fleet Indian. We're going to take a break. Hall of Famer Bob Baffert got his red jacket earlier today in the Saratoga Walk of Fame. We'll have that next.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live and the Fleet Indian. Half of today's attendance in the winner's circle with your winning connections. Zilla Racing Stables. English Soul, $10 for the win.
Yeah, great race by English Soul. Like I said, ran much further than anybody else. The deserving winner of this race. She's going to be tired tonight, English Soul.
That is a happy group of owners downstairs. Ray Handel, your winning trainer. There's a look at the show photo. Very tight finish. Win 11, 2, 3, and 9. Let's head downstairs as we take a look at the Naira Bets Late Pick 5 follow along. Biggest price yet in the sequence. 2 races still to come. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet with winning trainer Ray Handel.
Thank you, Greg. Well, Maggie was kind of mentioning pre-race that nothing really went right for this filly last time out, shipping up to Finger Lakes. But how nice is it to get the win with her today?
Oh man, it's unreal. She ran so well. We're all just so happy to see her back to world form, and really proud of her. Proud for the whole team, the whole Zilla squad's out here, and it's just great to win a stakes race at Saratoga is unbelievable.
Of course, it absolutely is, especially with a crowd like this. I mean, does this get you going? There's like 50 people in here.
I jumped up. I think I swung my assistant Jose like 5 feet in the air after we hit the wire. I said, she did it. I was sitting there dead silent the whole way, and just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally, like the last bob, she gets up. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, we'll talk about the trip because she is a really forwardly placed type of filly, but she didn't have that dynamic today.
Well, I don't know if it was not so much that, but we went in knowing that, you know, we didn't want to gun her out of there and send her and use up too much horse going into the first turn. And I think it actually ended up playing a big key into her finish. She needed a little bit something extra to, you know, get to the front and hold the closers off. But, you know, I talked about it with Manny pre-race. Like, you know, this filly isn't a need-to-lead type. She's rateable. I think before she was just so much more talented than her competition, and she would get out there naturally and kind of just cruise. But I always knew that she could sit off and run like she did today.
She can run multiple different distances very well, too. Congratulations here, Ray.
Thank you so much.
All right, obviously he's very excited, but the whole entire Zilla crew is very excited as well, Greg.
Yeah, I know that Klarvitz Stables right now leading owner at the meet, but I think best celebration in the winner's circle at the meet has got to be Zilla Racing Stables, what they just did here in the Fleet Indian.
Hold off now. We got the Travers tomorrow. That's going to be a big one.
They are having a lot of fun. That's what it means to win something at this prestigious, historic racetrack at Saratoga. It is a special, special moment. Up next, our feature race. It is the West Point. First of $150,000. We got a short price on Chad Brown's offering plan. Third in this race 2 years ago, second in this race last year, and again, with his running style, he needs some help to get a good trip to get the job done.
I think you meant to say we have too short a price on the 6 offering plan. You know, 1 to 2 in a horse that closes from deep and can be a victim of pace and not get there in time. You can see him finishing late, making a big run and not getting there, and that's got to take into play what price you're willing to take on a horse. 1 to 2, no way.
Short number. This race, of course, named after U.S. Military Academy. About a 2-hour and 15-minute drive south here of Saratoga. We're going to take a break. The West Point coming up when we return.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tapit has become one of the nation's leading sires of 2-year-olds. Ranked #1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live earlier today, Saratoga Walk of Fame honors those who've made significant contributions to the sport and the advancement of Saratoga. Bob Baffert earned his red jacket earlier this afternoon.
And thank you very much for this honor. You know, and I want to also say, when I brought American Pharoah here, even though he got beat, the day before, you know, watching him come out and gallop, the fans, it was so overwhelming. I will never forget. It was a memorable day that day that just, it made it so, that's when I realized how important it was, you know, to be in horse racing. You made me feel so well. The Saratoga, Pharoah-toga, whatever you want to call it, was incredible. I want to apologize again for getting a beat that day. But you know, when I'm standing over a 10-foot putt back at home, I sometimes imagine it is to win the Masters and take home the green jacket. That ain't never going to happen, but this red jacket is even more meaningful because it represents the pinnacle in the sport I love and dedicated my life to. Thank you.
11 Grade 1 wins here at Saratoga for Bob Baffert. There's his wife, Jill, son with him as well. He trained back-to-back winners of the Travers, of course. One of 2 trainers to win multiple Triple Crowns. Of course, ended that 37-year drought in the Triple Crown with American Pharoah. Incredible career and a lot of incredible accomplishments right here at this historic racetrack.
Unbelievable. Introduced by Wayne Lucas, who pointed out he's won 15 Triple Crown races and on 5 different occasions had the opportunity to win the Triple Crown, a length, a head, and a neck, separated from doing it 5 times.
Of course, we're going to see him in action on Travers Day. Not in the Travers. He'll be sending out, though, a couple of runners, including Abel Tasman, who will be back in action, the personal ensign.
Well, indeed, Marley's Freedom follows that horse. Look, he doesn't follow any empty wagons. He's bringing the big guns.
When he comes to New York, he comes usually with intent. Bob Baffert, congratulations into Saratoga's Walk of Fame.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
of the stretch. And it is King Creesa confronted by Lubash. Lubash and King Creesa streaking past the 8 pole together. Nana Capitalama was third. They're coming down to the finish. King Creesa, an obstinate foe. Lubash trying to get past him. Those two inseparable coming down to the finish. And King Creesa got his nose on the line first.
King Creesa with a length and a half lead. Brother O'Connell's cutting into it. Tapentations on the outside. Carafa's closing up the fence. Offering Plan is on the far outside. It is King Creesa, Carafa, and Offering Plan. King Creesa, Carafa, these two. Offering Plan, a late man. King Creesa.
The 9-year-old King Creesa, he's won this race, as we showed you, 2 times before that last performance. He beat Offering Plan, who's 3 to 5 on the board in this year's edition.
He did, but he's going to have some company on the front end. King Creesa is the 1, perhaps the 7, the 8, and the 12. They're all going to be challenging him early.
Some of the cadets from West Point in the house here as we get set to run the West Point coming up. There's your 2-time winner of the race. Every other year he has won it, so that would make him due. It's 2018. Time for a Paddock Report. We're going to send it downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Greg, thank you. And it was so sweet, actually just hearing those calls about King Creesa. And look, as a 9-year-old, you could not ask this horse to look any better. Yes, talking to his trainer, Dave Donk, he alluded to the fact that Father Time is catching up. And 2, it seems as though we can't find a race anymore where he is the lone speed, because he's definitely not that here this time around, though he is posted better than some of the other speed horses here. I just love this horse, and I really would love to see him run well, and at least here in the paddock, I think he is capable of doing that based upon what I'm seeing. Now, number 4 is Tapitation. You know, coming off of a year-plus layoff, last year, he's one that hasn't done bad, and he looks great here for Ralph Nix. And you kind of are wondering, is the pace going to fall apart? Do you want a deep closer, or do you want a kind of middle of the pack type of runner here on these turf courses? And maybe Tapitation could be that here. He is on his toes, and he's indicating to me that he could lay somewhat in the middle of this running. And then finally, number 1, Morrison. He is one that is best once on the front end, but he has shown he can pass horses. He is posted well on the inside, and Joe Sharp is a guy who really does spot his horses well, and the fact that he is being aggressive with Morrison speaks of his confidence he has in him. He's got a tough row to hoe here, but he looks fantastic in the paddock, and like I said, guys, I love the fact of how confident Joe Sharp is in this horse.
Well, it's interesting. Joe Sharp, Tom, puts him in here. This is the only 3-year-old in the entire field. He comes off an impressive win. He has speed, and he has the inside post.
He does, and he's been added blinkers in about his last 6 starts, and you can see what a difference that's made in this horse. He wants to use that speed. The blinkers help him do just that. He doesn't have much choice from the 1 hole. He's got to go.
So an improving 3-year-old for trainer Joe Sharp, who's had a tremendous meet to this point, tackling some deep waters here. But why not give it a shot with a horse who is on the improve as we get set for our post parade here for the West Point. Coming up, our feature race here on New York Bred Showcase Day. And we will start off with the 3-year-old here, son of the Factor. Luis Saez in the irons at 6-1, down from 12-1 on his morning line for Joe Sharp.
May have really liked the yielding course last time. I can understand why people like him, but I can't understand why they're betting him at 6-1.
The JY, we will see next. For Mark Hennig, Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
This is the best 35-1 shot I've seen in a long, long time. The last time this horse went around 2 turns at Saratoga, he had to chase a horse named Voodoo Song. This horse should not be 35-1.
Tapitation. Maggie was talking about the son of Tappet for Ralph Nix. Manny Franco aboard 17-1, 15-1 right now.
You know, this Gray's run some races that are good enough to where he is only 6 races the last 2 years and no W's.
The former 2-time winner of this race, King Creesa, won it 2014, won it 2016, trained again with David Donk.
He's a wonderful horse and a great story. The idea that he's a shorter price than horses like the 2 and the 4 and several others, to me, is ludicrous.
The big favorite here, Offering Plan. This is a short price on a horse that comes from well out of it. He's been beat in this race each of the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think that's the one key, Wolfie. If he gets beat, it's because he comes from way out of it and he gets in a little trouble.
Memories of Peter, he's 17-1 for Jimmy Ryerson. Junior Alvarado rides.
It's a horse that's more effective in longer distance races where he can be more dominant on the front end.
Mo Maverick, he can bring some pace to the party, and he's got the speedy rider Kendrick Carmouche aboard for trainer George Weaver.
Well, George Weaver did roll out a fast one in Colonel Tom in race number 6. This one's going to try to do the same, gate to wire.
Carafa has hit the board in this race 2013, 2016, and 2017. Trained by Tim Hills, Dylan Davis aboard.
Do you think King Creasa and Carafa just chill at night at 9 years old and talk to each other? Because they both are millionaires, so they probably talk about investments.
They have a lot. Yeah, that's true. They've been investing their money well. It seems like wrap the 11 for Bobby Robato. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons.
He's run well in his last 2 starts, but he's had good setups. This is a tough spot, but he's not impossible.
And we know about the speed of Black Tide from last summer here at Saratoga. Jose Lezcano aboard for David Canizzo.
Yeah, for people that don't have a form in front of you and you're just watching at home, this horse likes to open up many lengths, sort of old school. So look for him to be up in front by 4, 5, 6, 7 lengths, somewhere in that area.
Now, Jose Lezcano was aboard last summer here at Saratoga. This horse opened up 11 lengths on the field and was able to hang on going a mile here at Saratoga. And that's him on the inner turf, and that is where we are here. The West Point, our feature race coming up, offering plan odds-on favorite for Chad Brown.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast, a multiple Grade 1 winner and runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. This year, Flatter is adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record at stud. In the auction ring, Flatter topped the 2018 Phasing Tipton July Seal with a $520,000 yearling. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back at Saratoga Live, our feature race coming up here. It is the West Point mile and a 16th on the inner turf. You take a look at some of the cadets there from our West Point U.S. Military Academy race coming up in just 2 minutes here. And we're going to check in right now with Gabby Gaudet standing by with an owner, hoping maybe to pull off the exacta in our feature.
Yes, of course. Paul Braverman connected with both Carafa and Morrison. And Carafa, what can you say about him? The old class 9-year-old, over $1 million earner. It's always good to see him back in these races.
We love Carafa. He's given us thrills now for 7 years. We're going to retire him at the end of the year. He's been accepted at Old Friends. And we just want to let him run out the string here. He's probably lost 5 miles on his fastball, but he still wants to compete, so we bring him out.
That just absolutely warms my heart to hear that he's, after retirement, going to go to Old Friends, a fabulous place for retired horses. But we'll check in with the rail horse and Morrison. And, Paul, this horse is he's a horse that seems to continue to get better and better, and he's only 3.
He keeps surprising us. He's gotten better every race. This is a horse we hope can win in this division for many years to come. So he's kind of the young kid on the block, and we thought we'd give him a shot today and see if he can handle the old guys.
maybe the maybe the Carafa in the future?
That's what we're hoping. Fingers crossed.
All right, well, he's got big shoes to fill, that's for sure. Best of luck here.
Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll head out to you, Maggie, with more on the field.
Gabby, thank you. And Paul, one of my favorite owners, just one of the nicest men out there. And I do like one of his horses, actually, the younger of the crew. Granted, I have much love for Carafa, but as Luis Saez gave Morrison a warm-up by himself, he came back to the pony and said, whoa, this horse is strong. Plus, I rode out, I saw Joe Sharp. He was smiling from ear to ear, and he said, yeah, Mag, he's doing really well. This is a tough group. I get it. But Morrison, guys, Andy, he might be the up-and-comer here.
He might be, but the problem is you're betting a horse on the come at 5-1. And his best race was on a yielding turf, Morrison. If somebody wants to bet him, he's 12, 15-1. I'm all for it. I just think 5-1's an underlay, Paul.
Well, the problem is he going to get his own way with Black Tide here? There's so much pace. The beginning of this race is going to determine a lot that's going to happen. There's some pace in this race.
And let's look at our horse, the JY, a long shot you talked about. Both you and I think the JY and the 4-horse Tapitation are both dangerous near, and they're much bigger prices. Why is the one Morrison 5-1 and the JY, who's improved significantly since been gelded, why is he 40-1?
I think people are looking at the trainers. Joe Sharp is hot right now. Mark Henning's horses are running.
A terrific meet, Mark
He
Henning.
is, but Ralph Snick's horses aren't running. People like to gravitate towards that. They like to look at odds. I'm in agreement with you. I'm not a fan of the one. I keep telling you, the 2, I just threw supers with the 2 in there.
I'm fooling around with him. The 4 Tapitation. I like Tapitation a bit because he came back to life last time.
He did.
He was close to the pace. He almost beat Black Type, who would be probably second choice in this race. Why is he 12-1? And he at times were able to compete with these horses. Maybe he's rounding back into form.
Yeah, a lot of people I think are looking at 0 for 6 the last 2 years, and then you look at Offering Plan and you see those 3 wins the last 2 years.
Oh, he's the horse to beat, no Offering Plan, as we head back upstairs to the roof.
Just about all loaded here for the West Point. It is Offering Plan. 3rd year in a row he's lined up in this race for Chad Brown, trying to get his first win. He's the 6th horse. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
They're all in line. They're off in the West Point. Away in good order. And it is Morrison on the inside who comes out running. King Creases up and on the pace too. And right after that is Black Tide, who's now making his move on the outside. He's normally a big front runner here, and there he goes. Just took him a few strides to get going, and Black Tide now gathers the lead into that first turn. Morrison is running in 2nd position. King Creasa 3rd to the outside by a length and a half. Mo Maverick follows in 4th. The JY is 5th. Memories of Peter is next. Tapitation, then Offering Plan, followed by Wrapped in Carafa. 22.91 seconds. And Black Tide and Jose Lezcano doing their thing here. They've opened up a 4.5 length lead. Morrison is 2nd by 2.5 lengths. Mo Maverick follows in 3rd in the run up the back stretch. Then the veteran King Creasa to the outside. They're followed by the JY after a 46.41 half mile. Then it's Tapitation, Memories of Peter, Carafa to the inside of Offering Plan, and Wrapped at the back of the pack. Black Tide still there, moving for the far turn. Black Tide's lead down to 3/4 of a length. Morrison on the outside comes on in 2nd, gets closer now. Mo Maverick is 3rd. Tapitation follows in 4th on the far outside. Meanwhile, Offering Plans under a ride from Javier Castellano, still about 6 behind. 3/4, 110.46. They're into the stretch. Black Tide still there. Morrison on the outside, 2nd. Tapitation trying to find a way through. Here comes Carafa. Carafa and Dylan Davis have taken the lead here. Offering Plan is closing in 2 on the outside. On the far outside, it's Wrapped. Can Carafa hold on and do it? He's gonna. The 9-year-old Carafa has won the West Point over Offering Plan, Wrapped, and Morrison.
Carafa, it's one of the 9-year-olds, and he gets his first win ever in the West Point.
They talked about retiring him at the end of the season. They might want to rethink that. On the grass, these old men can keep going for a long time. And it's the 3 closers that come to the wire together in the 10 Carafa, our winner, Wrapped, and our big favorite Offering Plan. Today, Carafa was the best.
These New York breds just put on 2 exciting back-to-back races in a row. And the old pro Carafa, he is just terrific. I mean, fast pace, Offering Plan his chance. Want to watch it again to see any trouble, but, man, hats off to Carafa. It's just a cool winner.
It really is. I mean, like, to do the interview with the owner, boom. The horse wins, say they're going to retire him. He's going to old friend's farm. Tom Amoss, you talk about dropping the mic. If I was Carafa, I'm dropping the mic.
17-1.
Jeez, I mean, a logical horse at 17-1. Big, fast pace up front. So on this win, we do have to give the assist to Black Tide on the outside, who set up a really quick pace up front. Anybody that wanted to be close, take it out of their game a little bit, staying close to Black Tide, and just help the close of the 3 old men.
Well, we started off our show talking about Dylan Davis. He had a win with Colonel Tom back in race 6. I asked you about Carafa, the old man. Said he had a mount coming up later. You thought he had a big chance. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Guys, this is so cool. The 9-year-old Carafa. Dylan, I spoke to you at the beginning of the show when you won, and your eyes lit up when I asked you about him. They were really lit up here when you pulled up. How cool is this?
Oh, incredible. He's been trying hard every time I've been on him, and he's not stopping. I just let him sit a nice, comfortable trip, and when he turned for a home, he turned into a beast out there, and congrats and thank you to the team, Tim Hills. And just from then on, I think he's going to keep on going. He's never going to stop.
I was going to say, we were just talking to Paul Braverman before the race, and him and Timothy Pinch, co-owners with this horse. It must mean a lot. He's still got a lot left in the tank, Dylan. It took you all the way down the stretch to pull him up.
Yeah, he's like I said, he's not stopping, and I don't think he's ever going to retire. He's just a nice old horse, and he gives his heart out every time, and he's on his A game.
It is so amazing, and what a great job by his trainer, Tim Hills, and what a good job by you, Dylan, here taking the West Point.
Thank you, Maggie. All right.
Guys, you gotta love a horse that just relishes their job, and that's exactly what Carafa is here. He is pumped up and ready to go back to the winner's circle.
I don't know that he needs to go to any farm in the near future. He can still run. As a 9-year-old, this is his first win of the year, and he beats a really good field.
He beat a really good field and a really good time for these New York breds. 140 and a couple of fifths. That's a real good time. So I think he's saying, hey, fellas, it ain't time for the rocking chair quite yet.
Not yet. I can keep on doing this, certainly at Saratoga. 4th year competing in this race. He gets his first win for Offering planned. 2nd again in the West Point.
Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a 2nd time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close 2nd in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires, 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes, and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live, our show started with this young man getting a win, Dylan Davis, and it ends that way as well. Carafa, 17-1 in the West Point. The 9-year-old in his 4th try in this race gets the job done.
Gets a great pace set up and beats who were really the logical contenders in this race. Says a lot about this old man's performance today.
$37.40. Picks up the 13th win of his career. Already was a millionaire before he even entered in this race. As we take a look at the NYRA Bets late pick 5 follow along, healthy pool size today, and by far our biggest number of the afternoon. And we have not had a favorite in a sequence win.
That's right. I mean, there's some short price horses in there, but no favorites. And as you're looking at those cadets for West Point, I've got to say, well, I have a minute. Those young men, to get into West Point, that's like getting into Yale or Harvard. Plus, they are giving back to our country. They're giving themselves to our country. Those are special men.
We appreciate their service, no doubt. Don't forget, watch the last race on the NYRA Bets app. There's still one more race to come, but we are signing off. Back in race 7, oh, party like grandma. Andre Worry coming in from Finger Lakes to get the win. Then Tom Morley, Maggie Wolfendale, they're going to be partying late into the night after La Moneda. Got the job done in the Yado. In the Fleet Indian, English Soul best at 1 1/8 miles, and Carafa getting the job done in the West Point.